Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 46. I am your host. With me, as always, my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack. Down here a little bit earlier today. Not that our listeners will notice. I'll probably release it at the same time, but we're getting a head start after another late night of AEW Dynamite, right? Going until midnight again last night. We left a little bit for this morning. You know the listeners can't see you nodding at me, right? You actually have to speak into that microphone in front of you. So we thought we'd come back down here, talk about some wrestling. So we don't have our booster juice yet. We'll have it after Off the Top of His Head segment. We'll have our booster juice. We can report what we got.
Yep.
Not much new this week. We did sort of have our stay-at-home order lift, right? So Jack is happy. He can actually go out and hang out outside with a couple friends. So he's been doing that on a regular basis. Hope is we get to 10 people outside by mid-June is the plan.
14th, I think it is.
Something like that. So that's a good sign. Things are starting to open up a little bit more. Retail places, fewer restrictions, but still restricted somewhat.
Yes, retail places.
But we're getting there, so it's a good sign. The vaccination rates seem to be pretty steady, so we can get things moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Again, hopefully by July, we get even a little bit more normalcy back, but we will see. Just a quick reminder, I did, as I have been lately, an ROH podcast on Monday, episode 506.
And we did Double or Nothing.
And we released a Double or Nothing review from AEW on the same day. 2 podcasts in one day. Craziness. So yeah, those are available anywhere you're listening to this. You can find those if you didn't notice them already. So thanks for joining us if you're a new member, and welcome back if you're a returning listener. fnswrestling@gmail.com or fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram if you'd like to contact us. You can also leave a message on YouTube if that's where you are listening to us. I will always get back to you. Appreciate there's been a little bit of feedback here and there these days. It's kind of nice to hear.
Yeah.
So people are A, listening, and B, enjoying it enough to contact us. So that is very cool. We hope that continues. So what's new with you, Jackson? Anything you want to talk about in this opener? I'd ask how school was, but you'd just be like, it happened.
Yeah.
We're getting close, though.
I've watched many movies.
Yeah, you're into Marvel right now, right?
Yeah. I watched 11 movies in 4 days.
Wow. Doesn't help me because I don't love superhero movies. I know you want me to get into them, and I'll try, but
I've been suggesting
they bore the crap out of me.
If anybody can help me with this, but I would recommend, if you don't love them that much, Captain America, because he's less superhero-y.
It's just,
and Iron Man sucks.
I don't need, my problem is I've never been a fan of like gratuitous action scenes and stuff, and that seems to be like half of the movie. I just want interesting dialogue and interactions with people. I don't need explosions and battles and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
The few that I've tried to watch with you guys, I just end up getting so bored, even though it's bizarre, right? Because there's so much stuff going on and explosions and whatever, and I'm just bored to tears. But anyways,
right.
For your sake, I might try.
I've been watching a new show too, because I've watched Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah. You're enjoying it?
And if anyone's ever seen Solo, the Star Wars movie, FNS plays the main antagonist.
Yep. It's weird. I was never into superhero stuff, but I was into Star Wars. I don't know why, because it's kind of like, if you're into one, why not the other one, right? It's all fantasy, whatever.
Like, and there's a lot of battles in Star Wars.
But I just never
too.
did. Although I watched Spider-Man when I was a super little kid, like the cheesy
Netflix
animated.
one?
No,
yeah.
I'm talking like 70s, 80s.
Right.
I would remember rushing home and watching that on lunch, lying on the floor and watching Spider-Man on the old.
Oh yeah, speaking of watching things on lunch, I've been watching Bad Batch still.
Yep, we are watching Bad Batch every Friday.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much as Mandalorian, obviously. I mean, it's interesting to me. I wouldn't say I love Bad Batch, but it's good enough. I'll keep watching
it. So I watched, after I watched all the movies, I watched all the Captain Americas, all the Iron Mans, all the Thors, and the first 2 Avenger movies I hadn't seen.
Why? And when you're in online schooling?
Yeah. And
good thing your grades are still good.
I watched the newest 2 like Avenger movies, Infinity War and Endgame, which is the 3-hour one. Cause now I've seen like basically everything, so it's better to watch.
That's good. I told you, as long as your work's getting done and your grades stay really good, I won't question your process at this point. So
yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. I don't have much else going on in life right now. We're waiting on some donuts.
Yeah, I hope I get my
donut
favorite
delivery
one. It's
day.
like an Oreo one with Oreo cream filling in it.
Yeah,
it's the best thing ever.
It's some fancy donut place. I think we've talked about it before, and just because of the pandemic and not being able to go or do anything, we find special things to do. So we order these.
They occasionally deliver around here, and when they do, we usually take advantage of it.
Honestly, this donut place is probably over an hour from us.
Right. I think when we can, I would definitely go there.
Like, I would check it out.
If they have like an actual shop where you can just like get donuts there.
Are they not awesome. Square anymore? They changed the name.
They're
right?
Donut Hive. They're like a hexagon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that's an exciting development. We'll have some donuts.
They're basically a circle, but you can tell just enough that they're a hexagon.
But we're nervous because it's really hot out today, and your brother and mother are gone to his basketball, and the donuts. We got to check for them.
Right. So when we go to get booster juice, we'll check probably there.
Hopefully, don't have melted
donuts. Remember
donuts.
one time it came like as we were going.
Came as we walked home.
Coming back, which I think maybe that'll happen again.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
But anyways, I figure we should get into talking some wrestling.
I don't have a lot of news, but we got some pretty newsworthy stuff.
We do. So let's get into that now. Our first segment each week is news and rumors. All right, so ratings, I'm slacking. I basically couldn't find NXT from this week anywhere. I don't know why. Normally it's out. Yeah, if you want to check quickly while I'm talking here. I couldn't find it anywhere. And obviously I don't have last night's AEW rating, so I have last Friday's. And it wasn't good. So the go home show for, what was it, Double or Nothing?
Yep.
Earned 526,000 viewers, which is down 36% from the week before, and a 0.2 in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic. So that's down 28.6% and is actually a new all-time low for Dynamite. So this is the worst ratings in the history of the show.
Nope,
and I mean, to be fair, they did move to Friday at 10 o'clock, right? So as I was trying to tell Jack, especially in that demographic, 18 to 49-year-olds on Friday at 10 o'clock, a lot of them are out doing something, right? Especially in areas of North America where things are more open than here. And
it's not their fault that they have to go to Friday, but like pick a better time.
Late at night, right? So I think it'd be different if it was 8 or 7, but...
Or a different day.
And so this is just one of the reasons that their move to TBS will be huge for them. They're not going to be bumped for sports on TBS. They'll probably be locked into their spot because they're one of the highest rated shows that'll probably be on there. I think, because wrestling does really well. So it will probably claim its spot and not be moved around. So that's something to look forward to, because this, up till midnight on Friday nights watching wrestling, is not my favorite thing, especially to get up and do this on Saturday mornings. And again, no NXT ratings. Couldn't find any Impact ratings. So the weakest ratings segment ever for us. You get last week's Dynamite ratings, which were brutal. And that's all I have for you. So what do you have?
So there's an Impact and AEW Summit on Impact next week.
I did not even see that.
I'm
and I watch Impact.
Right. So I guess I don't get it. Like I don't know. It says Impact Wrestling and AEW Summit next week.
That's it.
And it shows Khan, Callis, and D'Amore. I'm just reading. As noted, AEW President Tony Khan will be on Impact next week to talk.
Yeah, I knew that.
About possibly adding Sami Callihan to the Impact World Title match between.
Oh, right.
See, that makes sense because then that preserves Moose. That would be smart. Actually.
Well, and I will talk about it in the Impact review as to why that's a possibility.
Okay, so Impact is now calling that segment the Impact and AEW Summit. With Callis.
Oh, okay.
Or with Khan, Don Callis, and Impact Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore.
Because things did happen on Impact this week, which might give...
Okay, so basically a discussion of the pay-per-view.
Because Sami Callihan's sort of name is now in the ring, or whatever, in the ring for that.
I don't watch it, but I think if that's smart, if you're...
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of what they did with Paige, with him losing to Brian Cage, kind of a similar method.
Crazy thing to say right now, but Impact might have been my favorite show this week.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. The only other news I found, I thought it was a really slow week, is that, I guess it's a couple things rolled into one, that Impact Wrestling announced that they will have a limited crowd for Slammiversary, and within hours of putting those tickets on sale, they sold out the show.
And I'm a man of my word, I will watch it, because they have a crowd now.
That's in my notes. I put, this is great news. The product's definitely suffered from empty arenas. Like, I live with somebody across the table from me here who... probably would check it out a bit more often, but you just do not love the empty arena, and I don't blame you. I'm not.
I'm surprised they've gone this long with an empty arena.
So Jack will start watching probably a little bit more now, so that's good. It's great news for Impact. The fact that they've been going this long without, and for the longest time they weren't even piping in any crowd noise, right? Which I think they've done a good job of, but it will be nice to have some actual fans there.
Okay, I was just scrolling through a website. Apparently, Tracy Williams got hit by a car.
He did. I saw that. Yikes. But he's fine. He and his dog got hit by a car.
Right.
But he's
not
fine.
Good. So quick Hell in a Cell card update. Really nothing interesting, but so we got Bayley versus Bianca Belair again.
Holy
The finish was pretty bad, I guess, so that makes sense. I don't know if I want this match to be Hell in a Cell. I guess it's better than having Ripley and Charlotte in Hell in a Cell, and which you also have on this show, and then also Drew McIntyre and Lashley, which get rid of that feud. I can only assume that would be Hell in a Cell, but I'm hoping Roman Reigns faces someone in Hell in a Cell again, because I don't know, I feel like that'd probably be best case scenario. Honestly, none of the matches ever feel like they need Hell in a Cell. Other than, I think last year, Roman and Jey Uso.
Right.
I think actually last year they did pretty good with the Hell in a Cell choice.
See, I think that they killed that match stipulation when they decided to do an entire pay-per-view of it.
I think every now and then they get it right.
Exactly.
Usos and New Day, that was a feud that had built up to that, right?
But my ideal would be you get rid of that pay-per-view altogether, and that becomes a really special match again whenever a feud necessitates it, right?
Right.
So it could be on any pay-per-view.
Of course.
Because they forced themselves to shoehorn feuds. They have to build a feud to fit this because this pay-per-view is coming up. So then you get all these lackluster Hell in a Cell, doesn't feel like it needs to be in a cell. You know what I mean?
Wasn't there 3 Hell in a Cell matches last year?
I believe there
right?
was.
There's also Orton and McIntyre. You didn't need Orton and McIntyre, but I feel like because Banks and Bayley, that feud had been built, so I feel like that kind of worked, and then Roman and Uso.
It could. I mean, I don't honestly know what's been going on since.
I agree, the pay-per-view has really worn out the stipulation, but I feel like every now and then you really get a feud that's worth the stipulation.
Right, but I mean, in my opinion, that match should be one of the all-time, it's a huge match every time you see it. Not they jammed a couple feuds into it this year.
Right.
Yeah. What else do you have?
I have one final thing, perhaps the biggest thing of the week, is we got more releases.
Yeah, this came after we had recorded for episode 45, right?
So we got Santana Garrett.
Not a big surprise or anything.
Ruby Riott.
Pretty surprised.
Yeah, I'm
frankly.
Surprised.
She's good, and I don't know, she'll be somewhere. She'll be
Lana, who, I know she's been working hard, but she sucks.
She's not a good wrestler, but she does nice character work.
Buddy Murphy, who I love him, but I'm not surprised.
No, me either.
Because he hasn't been doing much. Aleister Black, which I was very surprised because, yes, they underutilized him, but they just started having plans for him.
Right.
He literally, the week before this, interfered and, seemed to be starting a program with Big E.
Yes, it looked like they were heading towards a match at maybe a pay-per-view or something.
And Braun Strowman, which is just crazy.
Out of nowhere, he had a major match at the last pay-per-view.
He's got a big-time contract, and he's also he's such one of their guys.
Well, and that's apparently one of the reasons he's gone, is that contract is really big.
Right, and I heard he could have negotiated a no-cut contract.
And people are speculating, obviously, but this is what companies do at times before they are about to sell, where they try and unload really expensive sort of assets. So now if I wanted to buy WWE, I don't have to pay. They just saved me a whole bunch of money in theory, right? If I'm buying. Now, I don't know. It's just 100% speculation from some places that saying
really would
this is what you do before you sort of clean up and streamline all the processes before you sell.
I want Black and or Murphy to go to AEW. That's
AEW needs to slow down on signing people now. There are going to be obvious exceptions to that statement that I made right there that may be coming up, but in general, I think they need to slow
Murphy,
down.
Because he's so I would prefer Murphy there because he's so underutilized. And
Murphy is a fantastic
That would be
wrestler.
My dream is for him to go there. I'd love Murphy.
Murphy, Aleister Black, I think, and
I love
honestly,
Murphy.
I don't know how you feel about Ruby Riott, but I think she can get a job anywhere.
I think she'd be a good addition to their division because I feel like that's the main area where I feel like they could still sign people and make a better use.
Apparently, she is beloved in the locker room. She's just a great person and locker room leader sort of deal.
I heard I think Keith Lee and Liv Morgan and whatever might be next.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about Keith Lee. He has some sort of cryptic update coming, apparently, about his status. But
yeah.
So, surprising because those are some really big names in there, right?
There was another pretty big newsworthy thing, but we'll save that for when it comes up.
And it was names that are active in some storylines and stuff right now. Braun, I thought, just had a good triple threat match at, what was that, Backlash? Sorry,
WrestleMania Backlash. Come on.
I thought he looked really good in that match.
He looked good there, yeah.
And I'm not a huge Braun fan, so surprising. I guess they're just clearing out salary, and I guess I don't know what's going on. But anyways, some more cuts by WWE.
Nobody is safe.
Again, this company having a record year for profits, just laying off more people.
Yeah, what does that
while
matter?
Smaller companies like Impact and AEW and stuff are not releasing anybody. So somebody from New Japan made a comment like thanking New Japan for not laying anybody off, sort of taking a shot at WWE. Like, you're doing multiple rounds of layoffs in a year where you're making more money than ever. You jerks, basically.
Right. Yeah. Especially like when you just started finally giving Black something to do.
Yeah. Seems odd. So I'm wondering.
I really read a thing like because he streamed on Twitch about the whole thing. Yes. And so I watched like 10 things from that.
Yep.
And honestly, it kind of sucks because just I don't know. It like he was even told he was going to win the U.S. title, but Vince didn't want him to because he wanted there to be a crowd for that, and like he was like depressed like last year or whatever. And he had like a really cool plan too. I think it was like he would kind of turn heel and kidnap some of the Mysterios and whatever.
I did hear that.
And then he would go after Murphy. And then, because I think he was supposed to win the tag titles from Murphy and Rollins with Kevin Owens, I think it was.
Interesting.
And anyways, and then you would go after Rollins because that was a thing. Remember, he was involved in that.
Yep.
And then because the Fiend kind of set off the whole Messiah Rollins. Yeah. He would go after the Fiend, which I think would be so cool.
Aleister Black to me is like, I just think this is one of those where Vince is out of touch because this guy is awesome in the ring. He has a very cool look. They already had a great theme, a great entrance, like a great finishing move.
They screwed it up.
He can talk if you want him to. If you give him a chance to not say stupid things, he can talk as well. So I think he's like
my door.
He's like a can't miss guy that they've missed on somehow. But anyways,
yeah.
That's it for news for you.
Yeah.
And me as well. So let's transition into talking some wrestling programming, and our first one is going to be talking about some NXT. So this week's NXT started with a recap of the Balor Cross match from last week that I thought was pretty awesome.
So good.
He didn't love it. I thought it was excellent.
It wasn't bad. I just didn't like it.
Cross retained his championship when Balor passed out to the Cross jacket. So tonight, we will decide a number one contender in theory as Kyle O'Reilly faces Johnny Gargano and Pete Dunne in a triple threat match for number one contendership. We're also going to get a tag team match with MSK and Legado del Fantasma, as well as a Kushida Cruiserweight Open Challenge. So at least on paper, this sounds like a pretty stacked show, right? Like those are 3 big matches.
Mm-hmm. And they just put up Pete Dunne's new theme on YouTube
you
and
sent it
iTunes.
to me.
It's very good, actually. Yeah. I think I might like his old one slightly better just because I associate that with him. I think it's really good.
You are very into wrestling themes lately.
Current one's like really good. They've actually been pretty good about releasing things lately.
That's good. And I didn't know they weren't in general.
No, they don't usually. And like I'm kind of annoyed because the Kyle O'Reilly theme, when they put that on YouTube, it took like at least a week or 2 to put that on iTunes.
Right.
But then like literally the day these themes were released, there was also like LA Knight and Saray, which they both have pretty decent themes.
Mm-hmm. Best part of LA Knight, maybe.
Not
a big fan so
far. And Dana Brooke, but who cares?
Right.
And those were just automatically on iTunes. But Pete Dunne's new theme's really good.
Nice. So this match does have Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly. It's the opening match, which made me a little suspicious right away. That as soon as I saw that this wasn't the main event, I was wondering if something was going to happen. But let's find out. So Gargano and Theory sort of hug at the top of the ramp, and Theory leaves Johnny to fight on his own for this match for whatever reason, no explanation given. We get brawling by all 3 as soon as the bell rings on this one. Dunne takes control of O'Reilly as Gargano is sort of outside the ring near the beginning. We get submissions to everybody by everybody in one of the earlier segments here.
Everybody by everybody
was my easy way of summarizing that they just sort of take turns. Dunne starts to put a surfboard on Gargano, but Kyle kicks him out of the ring. Kyle then works on Gargano with knees and elbows as Dunne is sort of lurking and just waiting for his opportunity. Dunne works the fingers of both men before stomping both their hands at the same time. We get all 3 sort of doing this corner to corner, executing moves, taking turns. I have some choreography issues with this match, and that was one of them. We get a dragon screw to Dunne, tornado DDT by Gargano to Kyle, where he kicks Dunne in the process that I thought was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, I feel like he's done that before.
He has, I like
it.
It looks good. Kyle kicks something and focuses on Gargano with some knees and a back fist. He then goes after Dunn, hits 2 rolling suplexes before dropping Gargano across Dunn. We get Kyle and Dunn involved outside. Kyle hits a running knee off the apron. Gargano then flies around, takes out both on the floor, like diving over the ropes, back in, running, diving again, and rolls Kyle O'Reilly back in the ring, hits him with a slingshot spear for a 2 count. Dunn starts to dominate, hits a sit-out powerbomb on O'Reilly and an X-Plex on Gargano. We get a standing Kimura to O'Reilly by Dunn, but Gargano attacks to break it up. Gargano counters the bitter end into a nice DDT and then lawn darts Pete Dunne into the corner, knocks Kyle off the apron at the same time, which I thought was a pretty cool sequence. We get a kneeling strike exchange by Gargano and Dunn. Then all 3 are standing and kicking, just crazy kicks back and forth.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite parts.
It was cool. Kyle eventually hits his rebound clothesline to take out both, and all 3 men are down, and the crowd is chanting, I think this is awesome at this point. We get a Dunn sleeper to O'Reilly, but Gargano gets rid of O'Reilly, goes for the Gargano escape on Dunn. Dunn, in response, gets Gargano's fingers, hits the bitter end, but Kyle hits his top rope knee drop to Dunn to stop the pinfall attempt. We get a battle on the apron now, and all 3 men are down. Cole shows up, Adam Cole, out of sort of nowhere, with a chair, takes out all 3 men.
He chucks it at Gargano's face.
We get a brainbuster to Dunn, a last shot to the other 2.
That looked awesome, the brainbuster.
It did. Regal comes out with security, and Cole sort of leaves.
Yeah, Cole just destroyed everyone.
And he kicks Kyle one more time before leaving, which I thought was a nice touch. And what did you think of this? So we don't get a finish, really.
So I'm okay with that, actually. Great match, I thought, up until the finish. The strike exchange that you mentioned, I love that. They all just wailed on each other. I thought Gargano's DDT counter on the bitter end looked awesome, and Dunn whenever Dunn takes a DDT out of the bitter end, he always just takes it like an absolute champ.
Does. Yep.
Like, I remember even Gargano did the exact same thing in that match we reviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, against...
Right.
I remember Tyler Bate had to have done that as well.
Tyler Bate.
But, so that looked awesome. I thought it was a great match, and as long as we get a cool match out of it, I'm okay with the non-finish.
Yeah, there was some stuff early on, the 3-man submission part, the double finger where Dunn has both their fingers and stomps both their hands, the taking turns running into the corner, and then there was another sort of planned submission part. Felt really choreographed to me in the early going, and it kind of bugged me. If it happened once, then no problem, but I picked out like 4 felt choreographed spots by these 3 guys who are amazing. I thought they were just trying to be a little bit too cute in the early part. I thought the part where Gargano was just flying around, diving and taking everybody out was awesome. And the few minutes right before Adam Cole arrived, I thought were great. The match was just starting to get really good, in my opinion. But again, as soon as it wasn't the main event, I had a feeling there wasn't going to be a finish or there was going to be some sort of shenanigans. So I guess at the end of the day, I can't say I wasn't interested in the match, because I was, despite the stuff that kind of bugged me being choreographed. So I thought it was a good opener. And again, the Cole interfering doesn't really bother me either at this point. If it happens all the time, then sure, but once in a while, it doesn't bother me.
Yep.
We then see the Cole is being escorted out as we come back from a commercial break, and then we get Ember Moon in the ring, and she is calling out Raquel Gonzalez for her attack on Shotzi last week after their match. Was a pretty vicious attack that looked pretty cool, I thought, and I was happy because it firmly reestablished Gonzalez as a heel, right? Because there was some time where I was wondering, is she a tweener?
No,
is she turning?
Sure, yeah.
And this, like, nope, we're heels. So Gonzalez comes out. Moon lands a right hand before security holds Gonzalez back as Moon is sort of yelling at her from the ring. And then good old Dakota Kai attacks Moon from behind with a series of kicks before a big pump kick to send her to the floor. What did you think here? Of the promo of the attack?
The promo was fine. I thought it was a simple way to establish her Gonzalez's next challenger. It's good to see them as heels, like you said.
And I like that
definitively as heels.
I like that even though Gonzalez is this big, powerful monster, she still has small little Dakota Kai running attacks for her, right? Which I think is cool. I don't think Moon's promo was very good or believable, but that's not surprising. That's the weakness in her presentation, I think.
Yeah, she's actually not bad in ring, right?
No, I like her in ring. But the attack by Kai was great, and I'm really happy that, again, they're firmly establishing themselves as heels here. It was questionable for a bit, but this version of them is what I want. Just like the Monster Champion and her sidekick, I guess, for now. I mean, I think Dakota Kai is amazing.
Pains me to say that, but yeah.
She's championship material herself, right?
She is kind of the sidekick currently.
But we could be getting like a Diesel Shawn Michaels thing here still, right? So
I guess so, yeah.
we can hope, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
We then get Escobar. He will be with his team tonight, and Mendoza tells us that Warriors never back down. Joaquin Wilde says they'll follow Escobar's lead and become the champions of champions. It was really just a network exclusive segment they were showing us, which I think WWE needs to learn what exclusive means, because if it's not just on,
right.
Anyways. So this wasn't even really part of NXT, but I threw it in there. It was a fine little promo, I guess.
Right.
Not much to say about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think Mendoza sounds weird. Just like, I don't know, maybe
his
it's the
voice?
way he talks.
Yeah,
and his voice too. Just, I don't know. But Wilde and Escobar are good, I think.
LA Knight, it's his time now. He has a mic and heads to the ring. He insults Jake Atlas and says that DiBiase will be watching the match, and then he does his little catchphrases.
Yeah.
We get the video from earlier today then out in the parking lot as Hit Row arrived at the Capitol Wrestling Center. They made fun of Drake Maverick and Everrise, who were there on their way into the building. Then sort of Killian Dane steps up. Things get a little bit heated. He shows up to protect Drake. And Dane and Swerve get basically nose to nose before Hit Row eventually leave. What did you think of this little segment?
It was fine. I would rather think Swerve versus Maverick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This was fine.
I thought it was Hit Row's least cool appearance so far, but I still thought
they didn't really do much.
I thought it was still pretty cool, and it does introduce a new feud for them, so they can pick up a win and get their sort of faction rolling. I think because clearly I don't think they're losing in this battle, so I think it's a good start for their group, right?
Yep.
Appropriate. We then get LA Knight versus Jake Atlas. Not gonna lie, not super looking forward to this match.
Yep.
We get Atlas with the roll up before kicks and punches from LA Knight. Acrobatic stuff from Atlas, as there always is. And he gets some time in control of this match.
Right, and they're always quick to mention he's a former gymnast.
Right, which I think is pretty clear once you watch him wrestle. Atlas works Knight's left arm, lands a chop. Atlas is dropped across the top rope, then a neckbreaker by Knight as DiBiase now approaches walking down the ramp. We get a near fall roll up by Atlas as Knight talks to DiBiase. He was sort of distracted momentarily. Then a slam by Knight and a fist drop. Slow plodding stomps and a rope choke by Knight before a knee to the face and a slingshot shoulder tackle. Suplex countered into a neckbreaker by Atlas. Cross body by Atlas and some forearms. At one point, Knight uses Atlas's momentum against him, sends him over the ropes to the floor, and it results in a near count out. Atlas gets in at like the 9 count. Atlas then lands a gut punch and a jawbreaker and a discus clothesline. Another flurry by Atlas as Grimes approaches DiBiase and talks about the $1 million legacy. We get a standing moonsault by Atlas for 2 back in the ring. Knight does his leap up to the top rope, but gets...
Which he actually did it this time.
He did land it cleanly, but he gets crotched on the rope, is momentarily distracted by Grimes, and this allows Jake Atlas to execute successfully his Rainbow DDT.
Which kind of, like, it was... I guess the setup was better here.
Yeah, it was.
Main complaint.
He gets crotched and then happens to be in the right position, so it kind of worked. And Jake Atlas picks up the win here over LA Knight. What did you think?
Fine match, nothing interesting or special, and it was kind of boring, and like, I don't know, it's like, yes, Grimes also lost to Atlas, but that was because, DiBiase literally distracted him, but like, Knight, like, Grimes was there, but he wasn't like actually distracting Knight. If Knight was distracted, that was his own fault.
Interesting idea here.
What?
So DiBiase is looking for someone for the legacy, right?
Right.
And it looks like to us it's between LA Knight and...
Is Jake Atlas?
Well,
that would be stupid, though.
Would it be?
Yeah, Jake Atlas sucks.
He's beaten both the guys that think they should be with DiBiase.
But
technically.
He sucks.
Okay, but don't worry about that. I kind of like it.
Why?
He needs something, right?
But it doesn't...
He's been boring so far. He needs somebody. DiBiase can talk for him. It gives... What have we been saying about Atlas? Like,
he's not rich or anything.
He needs some sort of character development. And DiBiase said that's not what it's about. It's also about in-ring talent. It feels like they're setting this up. Because he's literally saying it's not just about having money. It's about being talented in the ring.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am saying that's stupid.
I don't mind it, actually. I think Atlas needs something new to do. They have to try something with Atlas and figure out, is this guy actually something, or is he just forever an enhancement kind of guy? And I don't think they've given him an honest shot yet. So, I could be completely wrong. It just seems to me, I don't know, they're making it, not mentioning it could be anybody but Grimes. So I feel like they're setting us up for a swerve, right? It's either Grimes or Knight, Grimes or Knight, Grimes or Knight. Well, guess what? Atlas beat both of them. and DiBiase's watching that happen. I'm interested in it. I know you're not going to want anything for Jake Atlas ever for some reason, but
because he sucks.
I know, but why does he suck? Because they haven't presented him at
and
all.
He's boring in the ring.
Okay. Anyways, we'll move on because we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Oni Lorcan is yelling about the triple threat opener, and Theory comes over and they argue and start to tussle before being separated. Just kind of really quick. I didn't really have any thoughts on it. I don't know. Did you?
No, not really.
Because nothing really happened. We then get Mackenzie talking to DiBiase and asks who is worthy of his legacy. I thought he sort of stumbled here at the beginning, a line about Knight dropping the ball and Grimes showing Braun, and then Cole walks by and the camera sort of goes and follows him instead. So I thought this was not a great segment. DiBiase has not impressed me promo-wise in the last couple times he's been in. So I don't know. I know it's in theory.
I don't really care about his stuff too much.
Because Grimes doesn't need a mouthpiece. Knight doesn't need a mouthpiece. And I'm not saying DiBiase is a great mouthpiece at this point, but Atlas does. So I don't know.
I guess, but I don't know. I'm not saying because Atlas, but I don't really care about this whole thing.
Oh, I don't either. And I wish I did because we both love Cameron Grimes. But this
but I think it's kind of I think DiBiase kind of has a sting effect on Grimes.
I've just been underwhelmed by the Grimes segments. Like I said, I found some of them amusing, but I didn't think any of them were great. But anyways.
Yeah.
We then get a quick commercial for the NXT In Your House special that's coming up. And then they also, a little graphic that Poppy is coming back live next week. She gets a lot of promo on this show, right? They talk about her a lot.
I feel like, and
not that she's bad, I don't care.
We'll talk about this more, but I feel like it's setting up something.
It could be. Yep.
Like more than just her usual musical appearance.
Yes. We then get Adam Cole in the ring speaking. He says 2 years ago to the day he became NXT champion, and whether NXT or Regal want to admit it, he's the number one contender.
Yep.
He's been gone for 2 months and has watched as everyone tried and failed to live up to his legacy. He took out 3 of NXT's top stars in one night. I guess true, but you also used a chair, but anyways. And wants the NXT championship back. People think Cross is a monster, but he sees right through him and says he's an overrated musclehead that doesn't deserve to be in the ring with him.
It's like he knows what I think.
Out come Cross and Scarlett has stuff painted on her face.
Oh my god, she looks ridiculous. I was often because Cross looked kind of dumb in a tank top, but she looked really stupid. Like, next level stupid.
They get into the ring with Cole.
So like TikTok on her face.
It did. Cross gets a mic and calls Cole little man right away, which annoys me. And I just wrote, he'll fit right in on main roster with that attitude.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty not nice.
Cross says, although I guess to be fair, he got called a musclehead, whatever. So
yeah, but Vince doesn't not push people because they're muscleheads.
That's true. Cross says Cole's motives tonight were understandable. He wants to be NXT champion. But the championship is not his, and no matter what he does, it's not going to change things. Cross says that as soon as he signed with NXT, Cole no longer became special. I thought that was a pretty good line, actually.
Yeah.
He tells Cole to tell him a story, and Cole says he'd be happy to. The truth is, Cross isn't Adam Cole Bebe, and he never will be. Cole says that the NXT brand has done everything to make Cross special, but all they need to do for Cole is ring the bell.
That's
a good line.
The best line.
He says Cross isn't able to lace his boots, and anyone who watches any wrestling knows that, and says that Cross is just holding his property. Regal comes out, says that Cole's attempt to get a title shot aren't going to work, but Cross tells him to shut up. Cross says that he wants everyone in the match at TakeOver, O'Reilly, Gargano, Dunn, and this gas station weasel, Adam Cole. I don't know what it means, but it kind of made me chuckle. He adds that Cole isn't getting out of this butt kicking no matter what kind of politicking he does, as they're sort of face to face here. Cole and Cross continue to engage as Regal says it's done. Cole walks off, but not before pulling everything off the commentary, just like a petulant toddler.
Right, and then he stands on the table and shouts at Cross.
Yep, jumps on it and talks trash and about how he runs the show. He then grabs a water bottle, throws it at Cross and Scarlett, and then finally walks off. What did you think of this segment?
And you can see there's kind of like some hurry when he was walking off too.
Yeah.
I really like this. Cole was pissed off. I thought he was awesome. I just liked his heel logic where he wasn't in the match, right, to be number one contender.
Yep.
But he's next in line because he took out all the guys and care or not, it's 3 guys.
Yep.
So I thought that was cool. And then when it came to Cross, I agreed with everything he was saying. Not because I hate Cross, well, yes, but also just because, I don't know, I feel like it was like all good points. Like, they do all this crap to make you seem special when
it's felt like Cole was
he just
speaking
is.
for the internet wrestling community.
Right,
kind of.
they just, like, no, but I think it's kind of true. Like, they do all this, like, his big entrance, and, like, they just do all this crap to make him special, and Cole's just a special talent. And I think we did get up, and we did end up getting the multi-man match, and it looks really awesome. I think a lot of good wrestlers are in there, and I think it should be a way to get the title off Cross without him losing and get him to the main roster, and it'll hide his weaknesses.
I wish.
Right,
Five's a lot of guys. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, it was a little weird for me because it's like Cross is now just talking like a regular guy, and I find that kind of jarring because he's been like this yelly, angry monster at times, right?
With the whole like TikTok thing.
And now he's just a regular dude kind of chatting in the ring. So it takes a while to get used to that. That's not his fault. I think this made Cross look kind of weak in a way. Not only did like
I'm okay with that.
A much smaller man get right in his face and talk crap about him, and he did nothing about it. But that same man basically outsmarted Cross.
And got a title shot. Even if it's in a multi-man match, he got a shot regardless.
He talked his way right into a championship match. I thought Cole was excellent and believable, as he always is. I didn't think Cross was great. He wasn't terrible. I thought the segment made him look kind of weak. And I think William Regal looks like he doesn't, like he's losing control of this place, right? Like people are just making matches without him, and like you schedule a triple threat match to get a number one contender. A guy interrupts it and hits all three of them with chairs and finishing moves, and now he gets into the match. Like, interesting. He does not look super powerful.
It is a match where I guess he has a very hard chance low chance of winning, I guess.
So I like the segment overall. But I thought Cole carried it. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So then we have Mackenzie. She's talking to Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell backstage. For some reason, Mackenzie decides to start out their interview segment talking about Poppy again.
Right, and then I'll talk about that after.
And Cross and Candice...
what?
Sorry, Cross and Candice. No, Candice is upset that the tag team champs are there, and this is what Mackenzie wants to talk about, and I think that's a fair point. Like, why are you bringing that up? Anyways.
Right, what does that matter?
Indy is beside Candice, all mopey. She has headphones on, and we learn that she's listening to 80s power ballads. Obviously, she's sort of heartbroken and acting like, I guess, a teenage or adolescent girl who's heartbroken is the point. Or maybe just a teenager. Doesn't have to necessarily be a girl, probably. Candice takes Indy's phone and headphones and leaves it there as they walk off. Thoughts?
And so I think the whole Candice LeRae thing, right, like she's so mad or whatever, I feel like it's gonna set up like a Bad Bunny scenario.
With Poppy?
Right.
Could be.
Which...
It seemed really strange that Mackenzie
never
does that.
Which makes me think that that's where they're going. And I just think that's so stupid. Like, I don't want that.
And we'll see where... I thought it was strange too. I don't have much to say about this. This whole Way love story isn't for me, and people that listen to this show know how I feel about it by now, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself. So if you're a new listener, you can go back to any other episode, and I'll probably talk about how I don't love The Way. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's bad. It's just not stuff that interests me, I guess.
It doesn't belong here.
We then get Carmelo Hayes, who I had no idea who he was. FKA, what was his previous?
Christian Casanova.
Right.
Who I remember seeing a news thing like that they signed him a while ago, so I think he's been in the PC for a bit.
So commentary tells us about his name change. He's Carmelo Hayes now. He gets a little video here. He's cocky. He brags about his ability. Tells us that we're looking at the next NXT Cruiserweight champion. In his opinion, I thought he seemed fine here. I don't know.
Yeah, he looked really good.
I don't know anything about him, but they need cruiserweights, so I hope he's cool, right? And we're gonna get to see him in action.
He seemed cool here.
Yeah. He does definitely have some confidence about him, right? So there's potential there. We then, Xia Li is watching video of her history sort of with Mercedes Martinez going back to the Mae Young tournament.
Which I did not remember.
And me either. So I like being reminded of things that happened. Martinez was disgraced by her during the tournament. Martinez disgraced her, meaning Xia Li, during that tournament. And at TakeOver, Xia Li will disgrace Martinez in return. We then see Tian Sha or Mei Ying or whatever her name is, sort of her in profile with her hair pulled over her face again. She sort of turns towards the camera to exhale smoke or vapor or whatever. What did you think of this?
I like this. It was very helpful because now I know they have some history and it makes the feud a little better because it's not just like random.
I agree.
And I like because like her gimmick is like it was like she kind of kept losing and it was kind of a disgrace or whatever, and so she had to like
avenge those
do
losses.
the whole thing, right? And so now like she felt disgraced from that, so now she's kind of going back to that, which I think is really cool. I like that.
I thought it visually it looked pretty cool too. I liked as well, like you said, that they're providing history that I'd definitely forgotten. It's a decent setup for a mid-card match. I'm not sure I feel like this is a takeover match though.
Right, and same with Grimes Night. Like these are TV matches.
Like that, yeah. I was just gonna say if they said this is next week on NXT, that would make sense. Cool. But as a takeover match, I'm not sure. But I guess we'll see. And Loomis, I have obviously, because what else was gonna happen? Walks by and finds the headphones and the phone of Indy sitting there, so he puts them on. And I guess her power ballads are still playing, and he sheds a single tear, and he's heartbroken as well.
Oh no, he showed an emotion.
And he walks away. I don't know. Thoughts? I don't have much to say about this.
Gross.
Okay, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know what the payoff is here that I'm going to enjoy. That's my thing. Is,
yeah, I agree.
Where's this going to go that I care?
Right. There's no way this will go that I, one, care or two, enjoy.
Yeah, I kind of give NXT marks for like trying something like this, like you're trying a prolonged romance angle that doesn't involve any in-ring stuff, but
they suck at it.
I don't love it.
Or it sucks in general.
We then find out officially that the 5-way match at In Your House is going to happen for the NXT Championship, so that's cool, I guess. And then we get Carmelo Hayes responding to the open challenge by Kushida, and he faces Kushida for the Cruiserweight Championship here. So again, I knew nothing about Carmelo Hayes. I'm always sort of optimistic when I see somebody new, so I was hoping for good things out of this guy. Let's see what we get. We get a knuckle lock and some holds and counters to start the match. Drop kicks and arm drags by Hayes, and I notice right away he's really quick. We get a kick to Kushida's head, handspring back elbow by Kushida, kick to the back of Kushida's head as he's in the ropes, and a springboard leg drop by Hayes to a hanging Kushida for a 2 count. Sorry, I just did a quick glance to make sure the computer was plugged in.
Yeah, nice.
Hayes stays in control for a while until a handspring elbow knocks Hayes from the apron into the barricade. Kushida follows up by attacking that shoulder. Back in the ring, super kick, tiebreaker, as you pointed out to me, and a springboard sling blade, kind of. I'm not sure if that's the best description. It was like some
sort of slam thingy-majiggy, not quite a sling blade, but it looks similar, at least.
For a 2 count, I thought it was a cool sequence anyways.
Cool, yeah.
We get a strike exchange. Kushida fires up, lands kicks in his palm strike. Tilt-a-whirl counter by Hayes drops Kushida on his face, so again, I clearly didn't know what exactly to call it. Cartwheel, drop kick, and a big right hand. Hayes fights off the hoverboard lock, but gets hit with a leaping kick before a successful hoverboard lock helps Kushida retain the championship.
Which I was kind of surprised, because I feel like, I don't know, Kushida's just kind of the champion. I feel like could drop it at any moment.
Yeah.
And this is the guy's debut.
Yep. And I guess that's the point of the open challenge, right? It allows Kushida, without having a lot of talking and stuff, to just have matches kind of without build. Kushida shows respect after the match and then celebrates. What did you think of this guy?
I was surprised Hayes shook his hand. Just
like babyface stuff.
Right.
What'd you think?
I thought it was a good match. I thought Hayes was really good.
Me too.
His offense was a good combination of strikes and the fast-paced offense you would associate with your stereotype cruiserweight.
Right.
And he had some cool moves like the tiebreaker as well.
Yep.
He looked good, and since it was his debut, I did kind of think he would win. No, it was his first match, but I'm fine with Kushida retaining. I think
it's like they're kind of Zoe Starking him.
Right.
Good showing, but you don't win for a little bit.
Good match, a strong debut for him. A little more athletic than I would have anticipated.
Man, I thought this was a really good match, and it seemed like it was a showcase for Hayes, right? He got a lot here. I think he got the majority of time on offense, if I'm being honest.
Right.
He's really quick, graceful, seems to have some charisma as well. So this is my first time, I think, seeing him definitely with any attention on him.
I've definitely never seen him before.
I was really impressed. This division could desperately use somebody with some personality. So I hope this guy continues to impress me, because they need some people that are interesting. All of the cruiserweights can obviously wrestle. That's not the issue. They're just kind of bland, right? And there's not much going on there. So I saw a little bit of charisma out of this guy, so I'm hoping for good things from him to help this division.
Mm-hmm.
MSK are then shown getting ready backstage. They are annoyed that Legado are still sort of talking. MSK will beat the brakes off them tonight, no matter what Legado will not get the titles. We will hear something, and then their catchphrase at the end.
All night, all day thingy thing.
Right. So what did you think of this?
It was fine. Their promos are pretty same.
But they are not great in this capacity. I'll watch them in ring all day. As for
all
promos,
night and all day?
Yeah. As for promos, keep them brief because I don't think that's the strength of their game at all. Right.
Right. I think that's fair.
We then get Frankie Monet. She's in her with her makeup people reading about her debut last week on her phone.
Nice.
She needs some positive comments and tells us she's just getting started. Sorry, she reads some positive comments, tells us she's just getting started. And that was basically it. What did you think?
Yeah, it was fine. It was a little thing to keep her going.
I thought it was good.
It suits the character.
It's super brief. We get a little bit of her personality, and she still looks like a star, right? So I thought for the very brief time she got, this was good.
It's really in line with the character, and it's a good way to just keep her going.
Yep. We then get a tag team match with what I thought felt like a random team, Zoe Stark and Zeta Ramir facing The Way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. For the record, before it even started, I just don't like Zoe being used in this capacity, involved in this love storyline.
Right, and I felt like she was a jobber in this match.
So she's teamed with a jobber for sure, and hopefully she's not being treated like one. But anyways, Indy early on
hopefully it's a one-time thing.
Right, overpowers Ramir to start, and Candice then tags in. Quick tags and isolation by the heels early on. Big boot by Indy as Ramir is hanging in the ropes at one point. Lengthy neck work and a chin lock by Candice LeRae. Insecurity by Ramir, but she can't make the tag. Superwoman punch by Ramir and a hot tag to Zoe Stark. Stark is on fire with a handstand, a kick for 2, and a wheelbarrow slamming Ramir onto LeRae for a 2 count. Stark's then sent to the floor, and The Way execute basically their wicked stepsister and Indy elbow drop for the win. What did you think?
I thought it was a fine match, but I feel like Stark was in a job role because she was teaming with Zeta Ramir, and even when she loses, I feel like she gets a better showing than she did here. You know what I mean? She still looks really competitive and looks good, but I didn't see that here. Right. I think they should team someone like they use as a jobber usually, Cora Jade.
Yes.
Like her or something. I don't think this is the role that Stark didn't need to be in this.
Unless they're furthering her involvement in this, but it doesn't seem like it, right? So
right.
I thought I was kind of right. I hated Stark's involvement in this, basically. I think it could have been absolutely anyone else on the roster, as you're kind of saying. Right. This was basically a jobber spot where she basically got in one kind of nice flurry and nothing else.
I was just thinking, where's Io Shirai been?
I don't know. It felt like a step back sort of in Stark's progression for me, and I don't understand it.
Despite a lot of losses, I think she's been progressing well because she's looked really good
in all the matches. I thought the match was decent, nothing special, and Ramir is very green, I think. I notice every time that she needs some more experience, but clearly they like her quite a bit. She's getting a lot of TV time lately. Mm-hmm. We then get Mercedes Martinez. She's going to respond to Tien Shaw, and she basically is questioning that they want to mark her as their next victim. Well, she's been marked her whole career. Lee is different now and more badass, but at TakeOver, Martinez will run through her. And that was pretty much it. What did you think?
I think it was fine. She's pretty good, just a basic serious promo.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. Quick, solid build for a lower card match. Good intensity. She's got a reason. Again, we got some sort of backstory for this feud, which helped me. Again, just not sure it's a TakeOver worthy thing.
I agree.
We get a Diamond Mine video, just basically this time.
It's the same again. It's
lots of people training hard, and it's going to be opening soon, whatever it is.
Whatever that means.
Right. So, I mean, I am sort of interested, but they're definitely not building any interest because I feel like I don't get anything new in any of these vignettes every week. It's kind of like, if it's different, I can't tell the difference. So it's just like I'm in a holding pattern. They're not like, I wish they were giving me a little bit more every time, right? So I could figure it out, but they're not so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Ember Moon is now with Mackenzie, and she is livid. She doesn't understand why a monster like Gonzalez would need someone like Dakota Kai to fight her battles for her. Next week, Moon will take out Kai, and at TakeOver, she'll take the title from Gonzalez, and then she ends with her catchphrase, Ember's Law, probably, something along those lines. What'd you think about this?
Thing. It was fine. I think it was better than the other one, the other promo, but neither were that great.
I thought she actually was pretty good here as well. I thought it was definitely better. She sounded way more comfortable than she usually does, including the beginning of this show. The Ember's Law stuff kills me every time. I think it's really bad. But the rest of this I actually thought was pretty good, and I'm kind of hard on Ember in promos. I thought this was one of her better ones here. Mm-hmm. So it's main event time. We get MSK defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against Legado del Fantasma, and Escobar sort of joins the commentary team for this one. Excuse me.
Or I don't know if he was on, but he was sitting there.
I think he was. Or I don't know. He spoke, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I don't notice commentary I notice it more on Dynamite because you're taking the detailed notes, and I can.
And Mendoza's got a face protector mask.
He does. Yes, I don't. So I hadn't heard if he got injured. He must have, either his nose or his eye socket or something. So Wild and Lee start out with speed, obviously, and they're just kind of struggling to gain advantage on the other. Wild ends up in the MSK corner, avoids some double team offense, takes out MSK before tagging in Mendoza. Both heels then are kicking Carter's stomach. We get a double back elbow to Carter, and Mendoza front suplexes Wild onto Carter for a 2 count. Jawbreaker by Wild, and Carter tags in for some double teaming, ending with a double stomp from Carter. As I'm reading this, like half my Carters are creators.
Nice.
We get a backflip Pele kick by Lee, which I thought looked pretty awesome. All 4 men are down, and the grizzled young veterans approach. But they don't get very far because Ciampa and Thatcher kind of come out of nowhere, attack them, and fight them to the back. I kind of like that the grizzled young veterans tried to sort of blow off Thatcher and Ciampa last week, right? And Thatcher and Ciampa will not be ignored, basically. I kind of like that detail. Carter then hits a moonsault to Mendoza on the floor on one side as Lee flies in to take out Wild on the other side of the ring. Mendoza's then in control of Lee after a commercial break, but Lee gets his boot up before taking a leaping enziguri from Mendoza for a 2 count. We get a series of double team moves by Legado, ending in double low drop kicks. Lee tries to fight back, but takes a big back elbow from Wild. A big enough back elbow that they actually replayed it, which I thought was interesting choice. Like, these 4 guys are in the ring. You expect all kinds of crazy stuff, but they replayed a back elbow.
Right.
We get a splash and a moonsault by Joaquin Wild for a 2 count. Finally, a DDT by Lee stops the onslaught from Legado. We get a hot tag to Carter, a Crater actually again, and he cleans house with kicks and knees. A really nice flurry, I thought, here.
Right.
Lee's back in, which I thought this was bothered me because he had just been dominated and needed to make a hot tag, and less than a minute later, he's tagged back in. So I thought, I mean, this is super,
they do that sometimes. Super
nitpicky, nerdy stuff, but you just got beaten on for the whole match. Why are you tagging back in?
Right, maybe chill out.
So he tags in for the assisted shove moonsault thing for a 2 count. We get a blind tag by Mendoza, and Lee hits Lee with a shotgun dropkick and a vicious twisting neckbreaker. Numerous running clotheslines with quick tags by Legado to Wes Lee. We get a Rana into a powerbomb by Legado for 2. That's cool. Lee's kick to the floor, kind of. The kick wasn't great. Escobar runs him into the steps on the outside of the ring now. So Legado hit their finisher to Lee. Looks like they almost got me on this near fall, I'm not going to lie. Carter makes the save as Reed flattens Escobar against the fence outside. So Bronson Reed sort of sees the interference happening. He shows up to stop Escobar, which I guess is going to further their feud, which is a cool idea. We get a drop kick, and the MSK hit their finisher to Joaquin Wild for the win. MSK and Reed sort of stand in the ring together with all their gold to end the show. What did you think of this main event, sir?
Good main event. I like the match. I feel like Legado looked better in some of their other matches lately, but this is still good.
Yep.
I think Carter did really good in one of his hot tags.
Yes.
Crater.
Depending
on the situation with GYV and Champion Thatcher, I wouldn't mind this again at the pay-per-view, where they could have more an uninterrupted time.
Yeah.
And I really like when just like out of nowhere, Reed just comes in and smushes Escobar against the wall.
That was cool.
Yeah, overall, a good main event.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun match. The final few minutes, I thought, were really good, and a near fall, I believed, actually, on TV for a tag title. I thought Lee took a beating for a lot of this, and again, to nitpick, him tagging back in after that kind of bothered me a little bit. But that's high nerd level stuff there. I thought this was a good match overall. I was hoping it was going to be an actual barn burner, like just an absolute barn burner, but maybe they are sort of going to revisit this matchup. Maybe Escobar keeps interfering and we need a cage or something to keep him out. I don't know.
NXT Hell in a Cell.
I could watch another sort of match with these guys.
Because TakeOver's pretty close to Hell in a Cell. TakeOver Hell in a Cell match.
It's nice how the tag division has sort of picked up in recent weeks. Yep. I like that. Overall,
I don't think they would, but maybe if they're doing a 5-way match for the other thing, they could do a 4-way tag match.
It's a lot of teams, but it's possible. Overall thoughts on this show?
4-way elimination. Overall good show. I thought the opener was great and my favorite match of the night. Even the non-finish, I don't think it hurt it too much. I think all 3 of those guys are really good.
It made sense, right? Yeah.
Right, I agree. Moon got 2 promos on the show and both were just fine, I guess. She's better in the ring than on the mic, so I hope her match with Gonzalez delivers. LA Knight versus Jake Atlas wasn't great, and I looked weak because at least when Grimes lost, it was because of a deliberate distraction.
Right.
Adam Cole's promo was awesome, and that reminds me. So I think the Atlas thing you're saying has merit, but like, I think DiBiase can't really count the Grimes loss because he literally kind of caused it.
Yeah, but he might just be like, bottom line, heel logic, I guess. Like, you didn't win, and this guy beat both of you.
So back to Cole. His heel logic made sense from a certain point of view, and I 100% agreed with him when he was tearing it across. The match, that segment set up should be great, as Don Gargano, O'Reilly, and Cole are all good, and in a multi-man match should help to hide Cross's weaknesses. And this is the time to get the title off of him and keep him looking quote-unquote strong so that he looks good when he's shipped off to the main roster.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, for
no
sure.
pun intended. Fingers crossed. Oh.
Xia Li's promo was good and helpful as it gives some reason to the seemingly sudden feud with Martinez. Carmelo Hayes looked really strong as his debut, even in defeat.
He did.
Seems like a good addition to the Cruiserweight division. Stark and Ramir versus The Way was fine. Just a squash to get The Way over.
Yeah,
but
basically.
Stark was not right for that role. Misused for sure. Main event was good and a strong way to end the show. Overall, a good show, but there were some things I didn't like and some things I did like. So actually, I'll give it like a low end B+.
Okay. For me, the opener was decent.
I was kind of on the verge of B+ and B.
I don't think this episode was as strong as the past couple of weeks. The opener was decent, forwarded a story more than anything. And it makes a big multi-man match for In Your House. Obviously could have been better, right? I'm sure we'll see at In Your House. It'll basically be that match again, plus a couple other people involved. So I think we'll really see it there. So I didn't mind the opener, but it wasn't quite what I was hoping. I didn't care much for the Way stuff as usual. LA Knight match or the LeRae Hartwell tag match. The Grimes DiBiase stuff is not doing much for me either. I thought Cole was great in his segment. Xia Li and Frankie's brief little things were good. The main event and the Carmelo Hayes performance were probably my favorite things on this show, especially Carmelo Hayes kind of coming out of nowhere for me, so I thought he looked really good. I gave the show a B-. I liked a few things, I didn't like a few things, and then there was some stuff kind of in between. At the beginning, when I ran down what was happening, this looked like a stack show. I thought it kind of didn't deliver for me. I didn't love it as much as I hoped to.
I think the main event was good. I feel like it could have been better.
I do too. There's another gear, right, that those guys can hit. But for a TV match, it was good. So a B- show, kind of stuff I liked, stuff I didn't, some in between. All right, so let's move into our trivia section each week. So this is called Off the Top of His Head. So this is random sort of trivia. I found a site I haven't seen before called Fun Trivia, I think it was. So it's basically stuff from the 80s to today, maybe. And you're looking at, I think the focus is mostly WWE, WCW, ECW, and maybe a bit of NWA. So there's 19 questions. I got 7, so not great. But some of them are really hard. Some of them I think there's no chance you get, and some that I know you'll get. So let's try. You ready?
Yeah.
You're tired today, I could tell. This AEW is cramping our style, keeping us up too late. All right.
It's on Saturday next week.
It is?
Yeah, remember? Or no, it's in 2 weeks or something.
Dynamite is? How are we going to work?
On the
Anyways, we'll
I
figure it out.
told you. That's what I was saying.
Okay. Tonight is the first ever WrestleMania. My match is next, and I'm about to challenge for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Who am I? First ever Mania.
Junkyard Dog?
Correct. Wow, good job.
Against, I think it was Greg Hammer Valentine. Let me see if I'm right.
Oh, we have a poster up there.
Yeah, it is. I didn't even look. It's behind me.
No, it's behind you. This one I didn't know and I should have. Which ECW stable, so I don't think there's any chance you get it, included members such as Chris Benoit, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Shane Douglas?
Triple Threat?
Yes. I didn't even remember that. Why do you know that?
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I remember I watched an underappreciated stables video or something.
You've got 2. I'm going to keep track here.
Okay.
I bet you're going to crush me.
I will.
Who were the members, this I know you know, of the Colossal Connection who wrestled from 1989 to 90?
Andre the Giant and Haku.
Correct. Good old King Haku. Loved him. Well, I'll give you a half mark. You didn't say King Haku.
King Haku, whatever.
I
don't even think he was King Haku at that time, so haha.
I think he was, but
I don't know.
The $1 Million Corporation was set up by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, in 1994, along with Bam Bam Bigelow, who was the first member of this corporation.
Tatanka?
No, I did not get this one right. Neither did you.
King Kong Bundy.
No. Think at least kayfabe Russian?
Oh, Ludwig Borga.
Nikolai Volkov.
What? He was still wrestling?
According to this.
Huh.
The Four Horsemen more or less came to pass in January 1986 when Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, and the Andersons had to share an interview during which one of the four made a reference to the famed Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Who made the legendary comment?
Tully Blanchard.
No.
Arn Anderson.
Correct. So I'm not giving it to you, but yes. So Arn, I guess, just sort of said it in passing in a promo, and then it became their thing. Who were the original members of the Dream Team who wrestled together from 1985 to 1988?
Oh, Greg Valentine?
Correct.
And Bruce Beefcake.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
All right. It's the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's 1996. Diesel just cost me a chance to become the WWE champion. Who am I?
Bret Hart.
No. Ooh, this is one I thought you'd get. Another big man.
Sid.
Nope.
Vader.
Nope. Big man that doesn't lose at Mania. There's the big man.
Undertaker.
Correct. Who were
Overgiver.
This one I knew. Who were the Insiders who wrestled together from 2000 to 2001?
Huh?
The Insiders.
I don't know.
Kevin Nash and DDP.
Okay.
Never heard of them? You look like completely baffled there. I've never seen that before with wrestling trivia.
I've never heard
You're going to be
ever.
Googling that
I
later,
thought that
aren't
was
you?
like an opposite of the Outsiders.
That's the joke, I think.
Oh.
Then in 1997, Crush, Chains, Skull, and 8-Ball joined forces to form what stable?
Disciples of Apocalypse.
Correct. Unfortunately, nothing lasts forever, and wrestling careers are no exception, as Arn Anderson was forced into an early retirement in August 1997 due to injury. In Anderson's heartfelt retirement speech on Nitro, Arn handpicked his successor to carry on the mantle of the enforcer for the quartet. Who was the famous wrestler who filled the role?
Chris Benoit.
Very briefly. No.
Jeff Jarrett.
No. One of my favorites from WWE back in the 80s.
Ole Anderson.
/ 90s? Nope.
Kevin Nash.
Nope. Mr. Perfect.
Horace Hogan.
Kurt Hennig.
Oh.
Who were the members of the Can-Am Connection who wrestled together from 86 to 87?
Tom Zank.
And?
Tito Santana?
No.
No. Oh, Rick Martel.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Because then you went, oh, Tito Santana is not. That's Can-Am Connection. All right, so the year is 2000, and it's WWE's King of the Ring pay-per-view. I'm the new WWE Heavyweight Champion. Who am I?
The Rock.
Correct.
It was a 6-man tag match.
If you say so. Who is the only female member of the WWF's corporate ministry?
China.
Correct. I had the pencil ready. I assume you knew that one. What manager defeated his own team to win the WWF tag team titles? Did not know this.
Manager?
Yep. He was a wrestler at some point, too.
Okay, so I know Cody Rhodes did this once, but so then if it's a manager, it's not. Ted DiBiase.
Nope. I don't think you'll ever get this.
Robert Heenan.
Rico.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Because he was teaming after Kishi. And then, oh, yeah. No,
What?
I knew that, but
What were the names of the members of Doom who wrestled together from 89 to 91?
Ron Simmons and Butch Reed.
Correct.
Just saw it in PWI.
Very good. They were awesome. That's when I was watching back then, believe it or not. They were super awesome. Tonight is WrestleMania 19, and I will soon make my debut in WWE. They aired a video tonight promoting my appearance at the next pay-per-view, Backlash. Who am I?
Goldberg.
Correct. What were you thinking about there?
Because I was trying to think the year, and so 2003 Goldberg debuted. So
you're crushing me already, for the record. Who were the members of Rhythm and Blues who wrestled from 88 to 91?
Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine.
Excellent.
It's like the third answer with Greg Valentine.
It's Greg Valentine week. Last one. It's ECW brand's first ever December to Dismember pay-per-view. Rob Van Dam just eliminated me from the Extreme Elimination Chamber match. Who am I?
Hardcore Holly.
Nope.
Test.
Nope. CM Punk. So, you got 11 out of 19. So you crushed me. For sure.
Get died.
Right? All right. Good job. So that's going to bring us back into talking about some of the weekly wrestling that we watched. And that is, this time, going to be AEW Dynamite.
And we actually had another new intro for Dynamite as well.
Yeah, they're on
an
it.
Updated one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like almost it's unnecessary sometimes.
Yeah.
It's cool that they feel like they update it.
Yeah, it's good attention to detail, right? They update it when things change and maybe not even, I guess.
And so we open with an absolute banger. We got the Young Bucks versus Death Triangle, which is Pac and Penta.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and Penta's reusing the Joker outfit, so that's nice.
Amazing outfit.
I love it.
Looks so good.
Kaz, who's now known as the Elite Hunter, is he attacks Nakazawa before the match a bit. And Penta and Pac hit stereo pump kicks and dives before the match starts.
Right.
A brief brawl on the outside. Bucks go for pile drivers, but Pac and Penta both counter back body drops.
So I like the Elite Hunter nickname. I thought that was cool, and it gives Frankie something to do. I didn't love right after that, because I've started making notes of commentary stuff because you've got the other stuff locked down so well. Tony says that he loves this new role for Frankie, which I thought was a poor choice of words. Like, basically, like, oh, this new character we've written for him's really good.
Right,
like,
that's kind of like one of those peek behind the curtain
just
things.
kind of bugged me a little bit. Nothing major.
It does sound a little odd, yeah.
Cool gimmick for him. It gives him something to do, right? He can just keep harassing them until he gets the match he wants or something. But anyway, sorry.
The vengeance.
Right, go ahead.
Matt and Pac start the actual match. Matt gets sent into the top turnbuckle. Penta tags in an interesting roll-through pin by Penta, which is broken up.
Yep.
It was cool. I forget exactly,
I forget the details too.
Was cool.
It was last night.
I can kind of picture it.
Yeah.
But, Nick tags in, but he eats a super kick from Penta. Matt tags back in and takes another one as well. Pac tags in, hits a slingshot cutter and a standing shooting star press for 2. Tilt-a-roll backbreaker to Nick by Penta. Matt runs from Pac and puts Cutler in front of him. A PK from the apron on Pac by Nick. Matt rolls in the ring and gloats. Matt fakes a dive and then chooses to run around the ring and clothesline Pac, which I thought was kind of funny.
And Callis says, as he starts to like jog around the ring, look at that athleticism, which I thought was funny, right? So Matt, whatever, Jackson is going to call him Matt Buck. He has just committed to this heel role, right? Like, he's going over the top, ridiculous. It's working for me.
I think Nick he's a heel when you look at his face.
And Nick's new appearance, right? Makes him look really like the auburn hair or whatever. I don't know. I don't do color well.
Beard,
but
just like, you can tell, like, his beard is not like that.
They're just so hateable to look at. And it works, man. That's what they're going for. Sorry, go ahead.
Cutler polishes Matt's shoes after, which, again, just like mid-match.
Yep.
Like, honestly. A huge lariat by Pac. Nick takes out Penta and hits a moonsault off the apron. Spear and rapid punches by Matt on Pac. Nick tags in both the Bucks. Kiss corner moves. I meant miss corner moves. Snap German to Nick by Pac. Just killed him.
Oh my goodness.
Penta gets a hot tag, hits a couple sling blades on both Bucks, and he hits a simultaneous codebreaker senton on the Bucks.
Yes.
Which was awesome. A float over backstabber on Nick.
So glad I'm not doing notes for this match.
Matt tags in. Penta hits the Fear Factor signature move for 2, which is the pump handle half Nelson driver.
Looks cool every time.
Yeah, you kind of got the delay again where he like lifts him up for a split second and drops him down. Pac tags in. It's a soul kick, which is just like that spinning heel kick to the stomach. More kicks and a pop-up sit-up powerbomb, which looked just awesome.
Yes.
Penta tags in. Pac spreads on Matt's legs and Penta hits like a diving dropkick, which is Dudley Boy's
very
best.
Dudley Boy's. Instead of the headbutt, it was a double stomp right to the groin of the downed opponent.
Crotch of the region.
Right.
Nick breaks a pin. Pac tosses out Nick. Matt avoids corner moves. Nick tags in, and his springboard is caught by a double super kick from Death Triangle. Nick avoids a double team. Destroyer off of Pac's back by Penta to Nick. He just killed Nick, I think. He did.
It looked awesome.
Nick has died twice in this match.
He has. There's been some near
Matt
deaths.
tags in, hits a slingshot destroyer to Penta, so now Penta's dead also.
Yes.
Pac low bridges Matt, and they're both on the apron. Everyone's on the apron, and Nick hits a German suplex on Pac, and it's Matt's turn to die as he gets hit with the package pile driver on the apron.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
From Penta, he died.
That was my note. Penta kills Matt on the apron with a package pile driver.
Yep. Nick uses the ref as a shield and then rips off Penta's mask, but he has another one, sans the flaps and
like
whatnot.
the more standard, smaller lucha mask underneath. He was prepared for Nick Jackson's
weird.
shenanigans.
You can see his neck. I don't like it.
It did look strange.
Yeah, Penta hits a low blow as the ref is still distracted and whatever. Because he accidentally got hit because Nick used him as a shield.
And the crowd, I had to note, is just going nuts at this point.
And he had a package pile driver. Pac takes in, it's a black arrow, but the pin's broken by Matt. Cutler hits Pac with the camera, and Nick stacks him up for a cheap win.
Yes.
Bucks win. Post-match attack by the Bucks, and they are chased off by Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, Eddie comes out to make the save of his former friends, slash enemies and friends.
Former friend in Penta and former enemies in both of them.
Right. I don't know, man. This match just made me so happy. All of these guys are just honestly special talents. That it's matches like this, right?
You are about to get much more happy.
Where I'm so thankful that AEW exists, because this type of action doesn't, for me, exist anywhere else in North America. Nothing else I watch, even stuff I really like NXT. NXT gets close to this on takeovers and stuff, but on a weekly TV show, you're not going to find this anywhere else.
Right, like, New Japan doesn't really have a weekly
and
TV show. It changes. Right, and it changes as, like, whatever.
The finish maybe isn't ideal, but it fits with the Bucks character right now, right? So that doesn't really bother me too much.
They've kind of mastered the heel style. They know what they're doing now.
Can't take away from the fact that this was an absolute spectacle of a match. It's a must-see match as far as I'm concerned. And yes, the end isn't great, but everything going on in this match was just so entertaining. Again, maybe if you're like, I don't like a spot fest person, but I don't know. I thought this was amazing. I thought also, just a little detail, commentary added to Kingston coming down and making the save, I thought.
Right,
with what they were saying.
Feud with because like it was the whole thing, like Pac's like, oh, I'm gone, you poached my guys,
right? And I think it adds to this like deep character that Kingston's kind of working with. He has like complicated connections with many people on the roster, and I kind of like that.
I do, and it's kind of interesting because he's like a good guy now, right? So
right.
It's just the complexion's kind of ramped up,
and with his strength on the mic, regardless of what direction you want to go,
you'll believe him.
He can do it, right? So. I liked his involvement in what was pretty much like a perfect opener for me. I love this. And like, it just made me nervous because how do you follow this, right? Like, this show can't keep this up, but I loved it. What did you think?
They did follow it pretty good.
They did. What did you think of this?
Wow. I just thought this was an amazing opener. It was so good. Penta used the Joker gear again, which it just still looks ridiculous.
And he has the best gear in the business.
Like, it's amazing. It's so no one else would pull it off that good, I think.
Nope.
Penta had some awesome moves. He hit a Fear Factor, the package pile drivers on and not on the apron. Destroyer, he killed, I think, both of the Bucks separately.
Yes.
Super kicks, sling blades, basically anything he did, I think was awesome. Pac, he had like a slingshot cutter, standing shooting star press. His strikes are always good, and the black arrow.
And at one point,
is always spectacular.
When they took the Bucks out on the outside, he just like walked right up to the camera and just stared into the camera with like his bastard face on, and it was awesome.
And Matt's clearly loving being a heel. He's embracing it. And
my God,
Nick's hair, he looks like a heel.
And it's like every week they're trying to find more obnoxious, disgusting headbands that they then go and Bret Hart put it on Nakazawa again.
Oh yeah,
every week.
Yeah, Nick put his headband on Nakazawa, and then you see Kaz runs after him.
It just looks like the Bucks are having fun, right? Embracing this. Just be the most detestable people you can imagine every week, and that's what we want.
Bucks did great here as well, and just an amazing opener that made me very happy.
Me too.
Next we get Mark Henry. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, there's a bit of a drop off, but
right,
things pick up a little.
So Shivani introduces him. Henry talks about how he loves the business and he isn't here to fix AEW because it's not broken. Okay, so don't.
Right.
Shivani asks about an in-ring return. Henry says he isn't saying yes yet, but he has a lot left in the tank. Vicky interrupts and tells him to leave. And she has someone to introduce, and it is Andrade.
Oh my God. And she was so...
I couldn't even understand what she said, and then Excalibur's like, did she say Andrade El Idolo? I'm like...
She was actually like affecting her voice more than usual, and I found it like she was going too far this time. Yes, you have a screechy, annoying voice, but like she's really leaning into it, and I had trouble understanding. Like I was like, I think she said Il Idolo. Like I wasn't even sure, and then oh my God, yes.
Yeah, he actually is here.
So Andrade makes his debut. One of my favorite wrestlers in the world is now added to my favorite wrestling company in the world. So even though I have a staunch record on this program of saying they're signing too many people and they need to slow down, this is one that If you have to release 5 people you have on roster to get this guy, that's like the idea of some of the matches he's going to have on this roster are like super exciting to me. I actually didn't think this segment was very good. It gave me too many WWE vibes all at once, but
yeah,
I can forgive all of it because this guy debuts here. And I think having him with a manager who can talk is probably smart too.
So he says he used to be the face, or he used to say he is the face of the Latinos. Now he's saying he'll be the new face of AEW, and that was basically it.
Yeah, he's not amazing on the mic, but he's not terrible.
I thought it was a decent segment, but this is how you make people happy, because I thought I was getting Mark Henry, and we got Andrade.
And I had no idea. I'd heard zero rumors,
me
rumblings.
too. I literally knew nothing.
So I, as a 5-year, gosh, I'm old, wrestling fan now, like I'm rarely shocked and surprised, right? So AEW's done it twice to me in, a month with Cage beating Page. Shocked, did not see that coming. And then this debut, I'd heard nothing. So I'm absolutely thrilled by this.
It's really rare where you get to see a debut and it's completely blindsiding.
In this day and age of social media and a million news sources and stuff, like to have zero idea that he was coming, I'm just super pumped for this. It just opens up like so many pretty much dream matches for me, even in tag matches, trios, whatever. I don't care. This guy's unreal. He is half of the best match ever, so prove me wrong.
Page and Omega versus the Bucks there.
Gargano, Andrade, go watch it. It's the greatest. Anyways,
I have watched it.
Carry on.
Next, I was also the thing I wrote, so many possibilities.
And the one funny thing was we had to rewind it to see. JR simply...
Oh, he butchered it so bad.
He cannot say Andrade Il Idolo to save his life. He literally starts, and what he calls him Andre, I think?
Andre Il Idolo.
And then he taps out and he asked Tony for help, so I thought that was
and we were joking he could join
hilarious.
Death Triangle. They could form Death Rhombus.
Death Rhombus. And it's going to be tough because if JR can't say the guy's name, like it really seems like there's no chance he's going to be able to say it.
He needs to take a class.
That could be entertaining each week.
Right. So Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo. That's how you drive off a cliff. So yeah,
not to spoil my comments at the end, but the match quality of this show, it sort of plummets and never comes back for me this episode.
And so the finish came here when I think Solo distracted the ref, and so Cody countered whatever QT was going for in a crossroads or in the crossroads position, and then he got punched in the face.
And it didn't look great, but
Right, so like Ogogo hit, right? Like you can't say miss, but like it looks like he didn't really like follow through on it. I was like, it looked like he didn't hit him hard.
It looked like
you know what I mean?
He moved his fist forward, placed it on the guy's chin, and then continued to push. Not so much like a punch, right? Apparently they thought it was good enough because they ran a replays on it even, right? And I was like, it still doesn't look great to me. But
so yeah, I don't know. This match wasn't great, and if you compare it to the opener, man, does it suck?
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
It was
necessarily.
Fine. It was just average, and even like Cody's hot tag, which is probably the highlight.
Yeah, I thought he looked
kind of lame, and it was just like good because he was just like on fire, but it was just like a hype thing, and it was just like, I don't know. I've seen much better hot tags.
I thought Cody looked good. I'll give him credit where credit's due. I'm just not interested in this feud. It didn't get a lot of time, and I thought it was fine, but it's really tough to follow that opener and a surprise Andrade debut, right? So I mean, this wasn't bad, but I just don't find this storyline interesting, and these guys aren't at the level where I don't even need a story if it's Bucks and Penta and Pac. I need zero story. Just throw them in the ring every week. I don't care. But these guys like Ogogo and Lee Johnson and QT, I need to care about the story to get into it. And
Andrade would get you to watch like Dark or whatever?
I would probably check him out. Yeah. Yep.
I probably would too.
I did not love this match. It was, as we stay on FNS wrestling, it was fine.
Mm-hmm. Not great. It was fine. I agree. We started with a hot opener and a sick debut. They really kind of halted the momentum.
They did.
Next we get the Inner Circle victory celebration thing. Jericho introduces them as the winners of this year's Stadium Stampede match, as if to say it's a yearly occurrence now.
Little detail, already annoyed by the Inner Circle having to look awestruck every time the crowd sings Judas. Like, they're just blown away by this every time now. Like, okay, I get we're happy the crowds are back, but it's a little, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way.
It was really cool when they were singing on the cruise and everything. And
super
cool. It was cool for a bit, like,
because that was like organic and just starting, and now it's like it's the routine. This is what we do, because we do this.
It'd be funny if just a town she's like, no, we're not singing it, and they just don't.
Right.
I think that'd be really funny.
So nitpicking by me, but it bugs me that they're like, oh, look at this, it's amazing.
He thanks them and tells them to look under their chairs. They all have Stadium Stampede Inner Circle shirts. So.
Which is very, I think,
Oprah
and Ellen, I think. The now defunct Ellen show, because she would rather close her show than be a nice person.
I watched a YouTube video on that, actually. That's funny.
All you have to do is not be a jerk of a human. No, I'm just going to shut the show down.
There was a bad work environment and everything. Yeah. And
rather than fix it, shut it down.
Right, yeah, I actually did watch a YouTube video on that a while ago.
Anyways.
And Jericho introduces the hero of the match, Sammy Guevara, is what I wrote.
Nice. Yeah.
An extra R there. Sammy says he's on a high. And he talks about doing 630 off of the roof, and now he's doing it on
at his house, with Mom being like, get off the roof, and then him doing a flip off the roof sort of deal.
Right.
Yep.
And he thanks everyone. Santana says Sammy is right about that being the greatest night. If a 450 splashes, that's a front flip's a 450, right? Yeah. Would 2 450s be a 900?
Correct.
Yeah. Anyways.
Maths, people. Maths.
Santana says... he also says they didn't accomplish much because they can still walk into the Pinnacle and blah, blah, blah. The Pinnacle's still here is his point.
Yep.
Right? All they did was keep their faction alive.
Yep.
Santana says FTR tried to take food out of their families' mouths, and Hager says they'll take the ass kicking until they say it's over. Hager challenges Wardlow to an MMA cage fight, and you had an idea, right?
Oh, yeah, that because it's 1-1, basically, right? We need some sort of tiebreaker, so why not... And I haven't heard this anywhere else.
Right, a Summit series?
I don't think I'm stealing an idea. Yeah, so you have an episode of Dynamite where it's just Inner Circle versus...
The Faction Wars.
Yeah, in a series of matches.
Faction feud.
So, your main event would be MJF and Jericho, and you have a tag match, and you have Sammy versus Spears, and then a Haas fight with Wardlow, and that's the whole show.
I think you could, for example, just to kind of... I don't know, add on to your idea, so to speak. So Hager's got his signature match, so to speak, with Wardlow. Yeah. And I think you could. It's not the best match type, but chairs match for Spears and Guevara, because that's the only match where I could see a specific stipulation being in play.
It fits Spears, right?
Right, and I think that would make it quote unquote fair if Hager's getting a match here.
Yep.
And I don't know what you could do for, MJF and Jericho. I don't know.
And then say it's tied 2-2, each faction wins 2 matches. Maybe your main event is then...
Wait, but isn't there 5 matches, though? Oh, wait, no, there's 4.
Because of a tag team.
Right.
So let's say they end up tied, then you go with all 10 of them in a battle royal, and the last remaining person wins it for their... And the other group has to disband or something. I don't know.
Right, I think it should be the losers break up. I don't think it should just be one side. I think it should be just whoever loses breaks up, and then I think the Inner Circle should lose.
Because then whichever one you want to break up, you can. But
then I would be afraid the Pinnacle would lose.
I don't know. This feud is just losing steam for me, so I guess I'm just inventing ways to make it interesting for me, because this has been a huge focus of AEW, and I'm just kind of okay, fine, but it's losing steam for me anyways.
Jericho agrees the war isn't over. He goes over what the Pinnacle did to him, and it pisses him off. Jericho talks about the fall, and he must settle the score. Jericho says Stadium Stampede in the Bubbly Bath was not enough, and won't be enough until he ruins MJF's career like MJF did to Jericho. And he says he's going to beat MJF, and Jericho says it isn't over because they don't forgive, and they sure as hell don't forget.
Right.
Thoughts?
I was not a huge fan of this, actually. I thought it was a bit too long. And for me, it feels like absolutely nothing has changed from Stadium Stampede, right? It didn't accomplish anything.
It just kept them together, at the very least.
Yeah, and it feels kind of stale. They're just out here doing the same kind of things, nothing's changed from the previous match. There was no, amazing lines or anything here, right? Sometimes there's some they rip on the Pinnacle and it's funny. There was none of that here. I didn't really like this. I'm ready for this feud to be over, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't really have an issue with Pinnacle. It's mostly the Inner Circle that I remember
they were funny. They were entertaining. Yeah. They were badass. And now all of that has been taken away,
right. It's the classic, I like heels. So sometimes when people are baby faces, I just struggle.
In this face
you gotta have them.
Sometimes face turns work. They do. But this just doesn't. That's not what this is.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't loved it. And I'm okay with some of the matches and stuff. But this feud isn't as... I'm not into it as much as I want to be, and as much as they want me to be.
Right, and MJF's a great heel, one of the best. But like, just because he turned on them, I don't think that makes them the baby faces now. Like, they are the baby faces, but that doesn't mean it works.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
like,
I don't know what Pinnacle can do next, but I need whatever's next to start happening.
Yeah, I thought this was fine, but it's just not interesting or funny anymore. Like, I remember, like, Jericho was really funny, like, when he was a heel.
It just felt like nothing's changed, and we're back in the same spot, and they still have a problem with it.
If that Summit Series happens, or, like, a loser makes up match, the Pinnacle needs to win, because I, like, that dinner thing, that promo,
it was funny.
That was really funny. That was really good, and I really do like the Pinnacle. I think there's a lot of potential in that faction.
Yep, I agree.
And I think the Inner Circles run their course.
I think it's later in my notes, but I'll say it here. I really want Santana and Ortiz to break free and get involved in the tag team division.
I want them to turn heel,
they're awesome.
Because they're awesome.
I just want them to be on their own and doing stuff, because now that we know they can both talk, and I think Santana's actually good, I think he's a star, man. He's super cool to me, and I wish they would just get out on their own at some point.
Right, they were such a good tag team.
And I think Sammy on his own could be a really big baby face too.
And Jericho can, I don't know, like
he'll do whatever. He's fine.
Do whatever. And
join commentary for a while. Take a break.
Hager can go in MMA.
Yep.
So we get a quick look back at the three-way match, and best friends say Cassidy had it won, and Callis doesn't belong here, and Cassidy says it's not over.
I thought, like, this was really short, but I thought it was awesome. Trent and Chuck seemed sincere, right? And they actually seemed legitimately like guys that are angry on behalf of their friend who got ripped off. And obviously Orange doesn't say much, so they got to talk for him. He got the last line, right? So even though this was super short, I really liked it. I thought Trent and Chuck were excellent.
Yeah, it was good. It was like a little short thing, but
super short.
It was good.
Yeah.
Omega and Don Callis are reviewing, I think, Double or Nothing highlights or whatever. Callis says Marvez shouldn't be talking about the accusations or whatever. Like,
which are what? I was really confused by this. I need you to bail me out. You don't know either?
I think it was like that Cassie had it won or something, maybe. Like that best friends were just talking about.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. And they're like editing footage to prove Kenny's innocent. Innocent of what? And
Cal says there's a conspiracy against Omega to take away the title.
He retained the title.
Expose it. I get right.
So I don't know. And this is pro wrestling, like. So I was confused by this.
And I like this though. Omega roasts the field of the Battle Royale that Jungle Boy won.
True.
And asking how many are in the rankings, and there's a difference between a Jungle Boy and a Jungle Man.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of funny. And then they'd sing his theme, like the whoa 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 whoa.
Yes, I thought like this wasn't one of their better segments.
I think like the conspiracy bit was not great, but I think Omega's dig at the Battle Royal was funny.
And this whole conspiracy stuff, like, am I supposed to be aware of this? Has this been told to me? Maybe I just missed it, but I was like, what? What are we proving? He didn't lose. He's got the belt. And maybe he cheated, but guess what? People cheat every week all the time. So right. I was a bit lost. I didn't love it.
Next, we have Jungle Boy and Christian Cage versus Private Party, who are wearing casual attire again.
They're wearing like khakis and button-down white shirts with a bit of flair on them, I guess. But yeah, I can't stand their ring gear.
I hate them. Cassie and Cage start the match. Jungle Boy tags in, an arm hold. Cage tags in, and as does Quen. Flapjack by Cage. Jungle Boy tags in, a double hip toss by Cage and Jungle Boy. Double arm drag by Jungle Boy to Private Party. Dom Gary on Quen by Jungle Boy, and Quen catches a dive with a drop kick, I think it was, for 2. Cassie tags in. Jungle Boy evades a double team move and tags in Cage. Cage chokes Cassie over the middle rope with his feet. Middle rope uppercut by Cage. Corner punches by Cage. Hardy distracts the ref and Quen attacks Cage. Quen tags in, a wheelbarrow assist splash by Private Party. And they do like the 5-second pose thing, mocking Edge and Christian.
Right.
Cassie tags in and he takes out Jungle Boy again. Christian hits a double inverted DDT and Jungle Boy gets the hot tag, a flurry, and a brain buster for 2.
Yep.
Rope step from the apron. Back in the ring is a rope step tornado DDT for 2 and a snare trap on Quen, the submission, but Cassie breaks it up. Eye poke by Cassie. Quen rolls him up for 2. Cage intercepts the gin and juice and spears Cassidy, and Quen taps out to the snare trap for the win. And then Hardy gets a sneak attack on Christian after the match.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought something was off in this match. I just couldn't get into it. And I've always thought Private Party were pretty raw and need some experience and polish, but at least they were exciting and fun to watch, right? I don't know what happened. I didn't think this was. I thought this version of them at least here, is much less fun to watch, and the ring gear irks me greatly. The match had some good spots in it. I thought Jungle Boy looked okay, but there were some sloppiness, right? Remember there was one where I think it was Cassidy tags in, and it looks like they're about to do some sort of double team move on one of the either Jungle Boy or Christian.
Or they get him up, but then and
then he just walks out.
Right.
He just left the ring and went back to the corner. So I don't know. I guess this match was fine. I really wasn't into it, if I'm being honest. I don't know about you.
I thought it was fine. It was better than the last one, at least, maybe.
I guess so. But like by AEW standards, I'm like, what's kind of going on
Party
here?
kind of really suck right now. They're less fun and less interesting in the ring. And what is their attire, man? Like, honestly, remember Quen used to wear like the cool, the weird cape thingy?
Yeah.
And it was cool. And now they suck. And
I don't know. It feels like a step back for them. I don't know. Even just in ring wise, they weren't. Their athleticism wasn't on display as much, I didn't think. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this, really. And their new presentation, I'll give it some time, but right now I don't love it.
Cage was fine. I think Jungle Boy did good. But this was a miss. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
We get Team Taz promo recap of Double or Nothing. Taz says Paige got lucky, and Paige may have gotten one over on Cage, but now it's even. Taz challenges Paige to find a tag partner for next week from the Dark Order against Cage and Hobbs.
So,
and Taz says Paige can scout Cage and Hobbs on Elevation next Monday.
Right, which I thought was a clever way to like promote Elevation really quickly.
That's what they seem to do.
Taz was fine here. His delivery's always good, but I was just like, so he gets to make matches now, and not only does he get to make the match, he gets...
I guess maybe you're supposed to assume he went to con, I guess.
But then he's also like, and you choose your partner from this group of people? Like, I'm going to narrow down your partner for you? I don't know.
Or I guess it's a suggestion because he's always aligned with the Dark Order.
Yeah, so I think the match might be fun. I really hope, I don't know if Silver's ready or he can choose Uno or any of them are actually fine.
We do know who it is, I think. Well, not yet, but
we find out.
We find out. Oh,
yeah, you're right. Sorry. So I thought Taz's delivery is always good, but I don't know. He's matchmaker now, I guess, which wasn't my favorite thing.
I mean, it should be a good match, so I guess I'm fine with that. I'll allow it. Sting and Darby Allin are up.
Gotta have Sting.
Right.
Every episode.
And I notice how much Tony's intro of them is towards Sting compared to
Darby just stands there.
Future Star Darby. Yeah. This segment could not be less about Darby, I feel like. Even though...
My line to summarize the whole beginning, Sting and the fans love each other.
Right. Sting Sting panders to the crowd. Thanks, everyone, and panders more. Scorpio Sky slow claps on the screen.
Yeah, that was
Sting
funny.
was remarkable, and Sting looked and smelled good. He says Sting was so good, he dragged Darby across the finish line. Paige says literally because Darby would have stayed in the crowd if Sting hadn't picked him up, which I thought was kind of funny. And Paige says Sting carries Darby, and Sky challenges Darby to find anyone but Sting to face them. Thank you.
So,
yes.
First of all the feuds from Double or Nothing, I guess, are just continuing, it feels like. Like, nothing has... I guess. There were no conclusions from that show. I thought everybody sounded good here, speaking. Even Sting. Yes, he's pandering to the crowd and whatnot, but he sounded good. My only issue here is that the strong tag team of Paige and Sky are now asking us to believe that the victory was because of 62-year-old Sting and that they would win against everybody else if they can pick anyone else but Sting. Like, Sting's at a level beyond everybody else on the roster.
Right, even though he's like,
so, like he can pick
a senior citizen.
He can pick Andrade next time and we still have a better chance. So,
no, he could pick like freaking like Wardlow or like...
And I'm a guy that likes my wrestling somewhat believable, and I find that this isn't, right? Like, okay, the only reason you won is because of that 62-year-old guy over there, and you can pick anyone else.
A fresh, young star, and we will destroy you.
So I like the delivery by everybody, but that little bit of logic was not my favorite.
Yeah, I don't even think you can call that heel logic.
No, that's just... I don't know.
Dumb logic.
But we'll see where it goes, I guess.
We'll probably get a better match, so I guess there's that.
The match was good. Sting did a good job in that match.
For his age.
Yeah, he was good.
Britt Baker's championship celebrations next. TH2, Chaos Project.
I was gonna say, Jobber's got the invite. That's
and
it.
Others are there, right? Like, she's supposed
Serpentico.
to be like... Right. Right, like, you got TH2, you got, like, Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake.
That's right, they were up there.
And frickin' Luther.
Star Power.
Luther.
Well, that's one of my final comments on this whole show. Where's the Star Power, right?
Luther.
It's another one of these post-pay-per-view, nobody's on the show.
Right, but, like,
Like Brit's the biggest star in the Young Bucks on this show.
Luther.
Yes. Luther.
Oh well, Penta's on the show, bud,
okay.
and Andrade, and Pac, and Cody.
I stand by my comments.
Baker thanks everyone for attending, and she lies about burger coupons on their seats and says she did all the work, so she has all the burger coupons.
Yeah, so which
are Big Macs, like.
And she wasn't allowed to say Big Mac.
I guess so, right?
She had to keep, because McDonald's gave her $1,500. I saw it online before the show even was on.
Right, so then.
I thought that bit was a bit of a miss, and I think the crowd did too. They're just kind of like.
Right.
No.
I kind of wish like. Well, if McDonald's gave her those, then why wouldn't they try to get the permission to say Big Mac?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Just a little detail.
Yeah, I guess they did. It might be one of those, we don't want to give you free advertising.
I guess.
Right? Like, you didn't pay us anything.
Baker says this is the start of a new era, and she saw and heard DMD everywhere. She says DMD will elevate AEW. She gives burger to Tony and Rebel. Now Rose interrupts and just freaks out.
Smashes all the burgers.
Right, which, I mean, don't disrespect the Big Macs, man. That's not cool.
How
and she
rude.
Ruins the celebration and walks off. I was wondering why she was there.
Yeah.
Her and Vicky are just there. So I thought this was a great promo from Baker, but it should have been longer. Like, it was good for what it was, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think what it was should have been more. And then I think Nyla Rose I don't get it.
I didn't love this. I thought this was one of Britt's weakest segments. I even thought she sounded a little nervous as she started talking. Once she got past the burger stuff, I thought it was better for her, but definitely not my favorite Britt thing for sure. Not even close. So Nyla's the next program for her, which is fine. I think Nyla's pretty good, but like, is Nyla a face now? Like,
right? Just
what has she been doing lately? Where is she coming from? And
what has she been doing lately? Period.
If she is a baby face, they need to quickly establish that somehow, right? Like, I don't mind her in a match, but I don't know what she's been doing. Why are you so loud with the drink, man?
Well, I'm trying to not.
Try harder.
Next we have Eddie Kingston and Death Triangle say they don't want his help. Kingston says the enemy of his enemy is his friend.
What good energy.
Thanks.
I thought it was a good little segment. It makes mention of their history. Kingston's logic makes sense, right? That's a line that my enemy of your enemy is your friend sort of thing. So he's kind of referring to that, which makes sense here. So if he talks, I'm listening. So I thought this was fine. You?
Yeah, I liked it. Simple logic, and he's always believable.
He is.
Next we have Red Velvet versus the Bunny, which I was obviously excited for, because Red Velvet's freaking got Big Swole with her.
And somebody else? Kylan King, right?
You know Red Velvet's
Kylan King's inching her way closer to the ring, from front row to the ringside.
You know Red Velvet's destined for success when she's accompanied by Kylan King and Big Swole.
Quite a faction for sure.
Right. It's the best faction.
Well, and Bunny is a amazing performer as well. Mm-hmm. So this should be
Velvet sidesteps a sneak attack and it's like, Excalibur's like, oh, she must have heard the footsteps. No, it looked bad. Bunny literally shouted, Red Velvet! And then she charges at her, and then Velvet, like, they tried to make it look like a drop toe hold into the middle rope.
It was clunky.
He barely touched Bunny, so she hits a double knee attack and a standing moonsault for 2.
I thought the moonsault was cool.
Mm-hmm. And then she kills herself on a suicide dive.
Literal suicide dive. Like, I freaked out. I'm like, oh, she's dead. She's definitely broken her collarbone, separated her shoulder, hurt her neck. No, she got up somehow. Injury. I don't know how, because it looked awful.
Right.
Terrifying.
It almost looked like a middle rope tope or something.
It was, so here's where I say this. Velvet, wait for it, reminds me of a more fluid and athletic Shotzi. Her spirit...
burn!
And I'm not saying that to be mean. Her spirit's willing to try things that her body can't quite deliver at this point. You know what I mean? She's willing to try anything, but I don't think she's quite ready for some of it. She's fearless for sure, and I think that's going to serve her well. But
I think she's like better than Shotzi, obviously. But I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like, she tries things before she's kind of
ready.
I
don't know she was ready for the dive.
Right.
Right. I see what you're saying, yes. Velvet chokes Bunny in the corner with her foot, kind of doing splits. Bunny trips. Mine says tripes. I have an E in there for some reason.
Nice.
Trips Velvet on the top turnbuckle and is a super kick. Sliding form in the corner by Bunny, which didn't really hit the mark, for 2. Flurry by Velvet in the corner, rising knee. Super kick by Bunny. Bunny gets the brass knucks, but Velvet wins with the spinning heel kick,
which looked pretty good. It was like a black mass, but
kind of a basement black mass.
Yeah. I thought the match was decent. I think Bunny's just serviceable in the ring, right? I don't think she's great.
I remember her being better in Impact. It's weird.
She's okay at best.
Well, like, not
I think,
necessarily good, but
right.
better, at least.
Red Velvet, I really wish she would change her name, but she's really athletic and charismatic. She's got a ton of potential, I think. She just needs...
This is literally Red Velvet versus the Bunny. Like, pick better names.
She just needs to slow down a little bit so she doesn't hurt herself or somebody else. But I think she's got a bright future. She continues to impress me. Even, like, just coming to the ring for the match, she's got charisma, right? Like, you end up sort of paying attention to her. And I guess if this is the role for Bunny, I think it's kind of appropriate, right? To put over mid-carders and young talent, because I don't think, like, she's not on the level of the top tier of women in this company, so I don't think it's realistic that she's, like, a title contender, but she can do stuff like this. So this was, again, fine, not great. Wrestling on this show, man, outside of the opener,
weird.
Was tough.
It's weird.
Yep.
So next we get the Dark Order, and so it's John Silver's birthday. He was gifted TNT title opportunity, even though he's injured. But so he's giving it to Evil Uno, who says he basically said, like, he knows opportunities are rare, so he's kind of like making the most of it or whatever.
Yep.
And we actually get a quick response from Miro.
Yes.
Miro says he is better and Uno's too emotionally involved with something. I guess Dark Order, maybe? I didn't really catch it. And Miro's going to teach that you don't come after him unless you think you can survive.
Right. It was
not that you think you might win, but that you think you can survive.
Yeah, I like that. You think you can win, but are you sure you can survive? I think is how he needs to phrase it. I cleaned it up for him a little bit. I think that's actually a cool catchphrase.
And we got our main event.
Yep. Sorry, main event involving which two amazing stars that this star-studded roster has?
Nick Komoroto.
Of course.
And Dustin Rhodes.
Of course.
And would you like to hear the sizzling stipulation that AEW's cooked up for you?
One of my least favorite, please.
Bull rope match.
So it's like you sit down and you go, you know what? How can we put together a match that's going to limit these guys from doing any sort of fun moves? I got it. We'll rope them together. Right. We got to keep this this main event.
We got to stick a cowbell on that rope, though.
We only want basic plodding offense from these guys in the main event. What can we do to make sure that happens? Tie them together.
Right, and we only want an occasional move, right? Only a few.
One of my least favorite, and what we also want is guys to be tripping in the rope and having to move it from their feet and stuff multiple times. Anyways, go ahead.
Of course.
Sarcasm.
Brawl on the stage until Komoroto chucks Dustin in the ring, which is kind of cool, but he did.
Komoroto looks amazing. He looks like some caveman or like an 80s wrestler. Like he has such a cool look to him, but not thrilled in the ring so far.
Match starts. Rhodes ducks a move and uses the rope for a low blow. Komoroto chucks Dustin, or chokes Dustin with the rope until he's hit with a cowbell.
And that cowbell, they tell us, is so sharp. The edges of that cowbell will just cut you like a razor.
Right, yeah.
Thought that was ridiculous.
As you know, cowbells are as sharp as thumbtacks and barbed wire put together.
Well, because you want them slicing the cow's neck when it's around his neck, right? You want it slicing him open. So, of course, you would have it. Like, I thought that was a ridiculous little detail.
Rhodes clotheslines Como Rotot over the top rope and goes over as well, because I'm a great person at typing.
Yep.
Rhodes beats on Komoroto with the cowbell. Komorotot again. There, I did it again. That's
what his children are called, Komorotots. His followers.
Oh, nice. He attacks a crowd wrestler. I think it was Fuego del Sol.
It was.
It said it was. Why did I remember that? Oh, because it was earlier today.
Yeah, we watched that this morning.
He then fights back and gets just chucked because they still have some crowd wrestlers there.
Yeah, so he throws him on to some other wrestlers.
Aaron Solo gets hit with the scoop slam on the outside for some reason, and a spear by Komoroto on the outside still. Stomps, and Rhodes gets into the barricade by Komoroto, and Rhodes uses the bull rope, which is kind of wrapped around the post, oddly.
Yeah.
And he pulls Komoroto into the ring post. Aaron Solo pulls at a table and sets that up near the apron. Rhodes hits Komoroto with the cowbell after a brief apron battle, and Komoroto is able to powerbomb Rhodes through the table.
Highlight of the match, probably agree.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good.
It did.
That gets a 2 count back in the ring. Solo removes the top turnbuckle. Rhodes hits a final reckoning, but Komoroto powers out at 1. Clotheslines only stagger Komoroto, and they look pretty bad.
They were not very good.
And Komoroto is sent into the exposed turnbuckle, and Rhodes wins. You ready to hear the amazing maneuver he used to defeat the monster?
Are you sitting down? Make sure you're sitting down, people.
Make sure you're not wearing shoes, because this is going to blow your socks off.
It is.
A diving bulldog from the top rope.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he, like, hog-tied him, quote-unquote, like, loosely wrapped the rope around his legs to help him with the pin.
Yeah.
Was the plan. Fairly uninteresting brawl is what I would say. The rope severely limits competitors, right, to basic offense. And this feud did not seem long or bitter enough to necessitate this stipulation between these two guys. Like, I really don't understand how we got to this point.
I guess it's just part of the Factory versus Nightmare
It is,
family.
but...
And then I think the only history these guys have is Nick Komoroto no-sold a wooden chair shot.
Yes, so this felt like a match from 30 years ago and not in a good way.
Oh, yeah. He can no-sell a wooden chair shot, but he lost to a Bulldog.
And one other thing from the beginning that made me laugh was you got Vicious Monster Komoroto, like, attacking, and then he politely stops so that the ref can, like, attach the rope to his wrist, which made me kind of laugh. Like, I'm this crazy caveman, and here you go, sir. Here's my wrist.
Oh, yeah.
Attach
you need to attach the rope? Yeah, I got you.
So I don't know, man. In terms of AEW main events, this is weak.
It was fine, I guess.
I don't even think it was.
Yeah, it did kind of suck.
I think it was below fine, a degree below fine.
Okay, fine, it sucks.
Well, that's a few degrees below. I'm saying it was not quite fine.
Okay, it kind of sucked.
Passable?
It passably sucked. But really not what I would expect from a main event on Dynamite.
No, sir.
This was... it was okay. And the table powerbomb was really cool, and the only highlight, I guess.
Agree?
Other than that, it was basically brawling, and the bull rope hardly came into play other than that cowbell. You could have had a cowbell match and it would have been the same.
And limiting them from doing anything good.
Right.
Not that I'm sure Komoroto's capable of it.
This would have been just as fine, maybe a little better. It's just a no DQ match where they could have used more weapons and instead of a stupid cowbell and a rope.
Yep.
And they wouldn't be tied together.
Sharp cowbell, though. Cut you, that cowbell.
I also hate that Rhodes keeps putting with the Bulldog, diving or not. I remember he won that match with the normal Bulldog, and not only was it stupid, but it was like a short match, remember?
Yep.
I think it was either against Evil Uno or 10. It was one of them.
I can't remember either.
One of those two. And anyways, they're not doing Komoroto any favors with a diving Bulldog. It makes no sense. He kicked out a 1 at Rhodes' finisher, the Final Reckoning, but he lost
which
to
looks way better.
Right, and he lost to a diving Bulldog, so not a great main event.
No. Overall, this show peaked early after the opening match and the segment introducing Andrade, even though I didn't love the segment.
You're just going to love it.
I don't think this episode was very strong. Amazing opening tag match, despite the finish. Debut of Andrade, awesome, even though the segment wasn't great. Rest of the wrestling on this show was well below average, I think. Just looking at it, right? You got Cody Lee Johnson versus Agogo and QT. Red Velvet versus Bunny. Private Party versus Jungle Boy and Christian. No star power on this show whatsoever, really.
Yeah.
Segment-wise, also didn't think this was great. The Vicky Mark Henry segment, I didn't like, other than the result of it. Wasn't a big fan of Inner Circle segment this week. Britt Baker's segment seemed a bit off to me this week. Some of the shorter, tiny things were my favorite, like the...
Best friend.
Right, the best friends part. Miro's part was pretty good. Disappointed in this show overall, especially after the hot start. I gave it a low for Dynamite, C+. It was in the C range. Like, where's the wrestling? This is a wrestling show, and the matches were not good. They weren't good on paper. They weren't really good in execution either, I didn't think. Weak show. Thoughts?
The show started amazing with the opener. Was awesome and exactly what I like in an opener. The segment definitely wasn't the best, but I think the debut of Andrade is awesome. Like, I don't love as much as you do, but I respect a good talent.
He is amazing.
Really drove off a cliff when we got to Ogogo and QT versus Cody and Lee Johnson. Really mediocre and boring. We didn't get back up from that cliff drop because we got to the Inner Circle segment. Wasn't necessarily bad, I guess, because I can see people loving it.
Just wasn't
but it's basically the
either.
Same every time with crowd pandering, and they aren't entertaining anymore.
Nope.
Omega and Callis were kind of funny in their short segment, but even then they've done better.
Yep.
Jungle Boy and Cage versus Private Party underdelivered, and Private Party kind of suck now. Sting and Darby segment was fine, I guess. And Sky and Paige definitely picked it up because they're really good. I like their portion.
Yeah, they're good. Yep.
Promo part of Baker's celebration was fine, not as good as others. And Nyla Rose's involvement doesn't, it didn't
Needs
help.
to make sense at some point.
Needs to make sense, yes. Yep. Red Velvet and Bunny wasn't great, but I guess it was fine. Main event was kind of boring and not on par with the other main events we've gotten previously. Overall, mediocre show, C+.
Nice, we agree.
Really not a strong show this week.
I would agree. Somewhat disappointing. And even NXT wasn't that strong.
But I kind of liked NXT.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to end the discussion of Dynamite and lead us into our next, which is any other wrestling business. Now, do you want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I took a look at Impact Wrestling, which might be what I thought was, again, if I'm grading on a curve, probably the best show I watched this week. Surprising to say. So last week I didn't really enjoy Impact for the first time in a while. I thought it had been strong, 3 or 4 weeks before that. So I was hoping things got back to enjoyable this episode. And I have a challenge for you, Jackson, on this episode as I'm going over it. Count the number of interruptions, because this has now become a thing on Impact, right? So we get a unique start to the show, as we were told last week that BTI, which is before the Impact, their like online show, I guess, before Impact starts, the entire show is going to be a 60-minute Iron Man match between Josh Alexander and TJP for the X Division Championship. So I thought this was a cool idea. There's still 8 minutes left of that match as Impact starts, so that is the opener. It's already basically should be the tail end of this hour-long Iron Man match. So we're told as the show starts that Alexander is up 1-0. Couple of notable things here. They have wrestlers for the first time in the crowd at ringside, and it feels like a combination of their piped-in crowd noise and the live people, but it's still nice to see actual people at ringside. And
kind of like NXT is.
Yeah, it was. And second of all, Josh Matthews is still doing commentary, which isn't great, but I actually didn't notice him very much. So that's about the best you can hope for Josh Matthews. The final few minutes of this is mostly TJP on offense, trying frantically to earn a fall, obviously, with Alexander kind of kicking out at everything. We're told that this is the most sustained offense that TJP has had in this match. So it sounds like Alexander dominated, like, this is an hour-long match, and they're saying this flurry was the most that TJP got. So I did not see the entire match. The detonation kick lands. Alexander kicks out. Mamba splash hits. Alexander kicks out. We get ankle locks and reversals, and there's 90 seconds left. TJP's trying to get a rope break. With less than 10 seconds left, TJP counters the ankle lock into a bridging pin to tie things up with 2 seconds left. Very standard, obviously, in these matches, but they executed it.
Did they do a sudden death?
Yes, they executed it timing-wise perfectly. Like, there was 2 seconds ticking down as TJP sort of finished the pinfall. So they show many of the wrestlers in the crowd looking shocked. It's announced that the match will now be sudden death, with the next fall winning the match and the championship. So Alexander goes straps down for the sudden death part, and they start out...
that's, it's serious.
Yep, they start out striking. We get a roll-through slam and a top rope moonsault by Alexander for 2.
Ooh.
Power bomb onto the knee by Alexander as he does for a 2 count, and then it's simply the J Driller or whatever Alexander's calling it, and
Tiger Driver, whatever.
He retains the title here. So I didn't watch BTI, but this was a really fun way to start the show. In a way, right? You know that Iron Man matches are going to come down to the final few minutes anyways. It's always either going to end in a tie with sudden death, or somebody picks up a pinfall right at the end to secure the win. So this was a smart idea, I thought. And it sort of bled into the actual Impact show. A really fun final 10 minutes, I thought. I enjoyed Alexander dominating the extra time. I thought that was cool. Basically, sudden death. He dominates and picks up the win with his finisher. A cool start to the show this week. Commentary then run down the card for today, including the main event, which is going to be Moose versus Sami Callihan. We then get Don Callis backstage talking to the Good Brothers about wanting Moose and Sami to take each other out in the main event to benefit Omega, which makes sense. They notice the camera filming them. I think it's Gallows yells "Stooge alert," and they go after the camera. I thought it really quick, but it's a fine way to set up like a storyline for the night, which is that the 2 main contenders for Omega look like it's either going to be Moose, right, or Sami Callihan.
But then isn't Moose the one with the actual opportunity?
Yes. And Callis's plan is to have those guys sustain as much damage as possible, which would make Omega's path easier. So that makes sense. That's on brand for Callis. I liked it. Josh Alexander is then talking to Petey Williams after his match with TJP. His face is bruised and bloody, and he talks about Iron Man matches being the toughest matches to compete in, as Eddie Edwards interrupts to congratulate him. So there's an interruption. Eddie walks away, and Alexander says, "See, the real ones know and recognize." TJP interrupts next with Fallah Bahh and says he and Josh may be destined to do this forever. But if this is the last time for a long time, he thanks Alexander and shakes his hand. D'Amore then interrupts, and he's applauding. And this is where I'm like, wow, this
3-in-1 segment.
This walk-up interruption is now a staple of Impact. He shakes hands with both of them, congratulates them, and says he's proud to have them on the roster, and TJP thanks him for the opportunity. So TJP seems to be sliding between face and heel like on a moment's notice, basically, whatever they need him to do. Josh then says, until a member of the roster has the Impact title, he is the king of the mountain at Impact and is looking for challengers every single night. D'Amore says Alexander makes him proud to be Canadian, as Chris Bay interrupts and wants a shot at Alexander next week. And I say, yes, please, they can wrestle anytime. P.D. Williams says that Josh already promised him a shot, and Ace Austin with Fulton interrupts and says the lines form behind him.
That's 5.
Right, in one segment. Trey Miguel interrupts and slips D'Amore some American money. D'Amore excuses himself, leaves as the potential contenders bicker, sort of to end the segment. I actually like this entire thing. The interruptions aren't bothering me at this point. It's just funny to sort of notice. Alexander's believable. The entire storyline is kind of brilliant in its simplicity for me. You have an amazing fighting champion and a whole bunch of talented competitors who want a shot. So like very straightforward, simple stuff, but it works for me. This is a really deep division, the X division right now. I look forward to pretty much any combination of this group. So just continuing a really good start to this show. We then get Rohit Raju versus Jake Something in a tables match. We got a nice little setup last week. They've known each other since before they were wrestlers, sort of came up together, etc., etc. And so Jake is not a big fan of Rohit's new kind of attitude, heel attitude, and Jake has requested this tables match.
Isn't he kind of a little late to that? He's
right,
been heel
for
like
a long time. And Rohit, of course, is upset because Jake, again, is getting his choice of a match sort of thing here, and Rohit's being ignored. So Rohit does a really good job to start of looking somewhat reluctant to engage in this match because he's normally a confident guy, but this sort of helps put over the seriousness of this match, which is, as he told us last week, Jake's preferred match, and Rohit does not really want to be in it. So Rohit introduces some chairs right away, but he doesn't get a chance to use them after Jake is down momentarily from a flurry. Some power moves from Jake before Rohit counters with a double stomp to the back before unloading some chair shots with the final few focused on Jake's left arm. So Jake fights back while selling the arm, but Rohit hits it with a chair again. We get fast corner attacks by Rohit, and he places a chair across a seated Jake in the corner, and then Rohit proceeds to hit a running cannonball into the chair into Jake, which I thought was pretty cool. Jake gets the table out, sets it up in the corner, and Rohit sets up a couple chairs. We get a drop toe hold to Jake onto the chairs, a jumping knee strike by Rohit that looked really good. They're both battling on the apron a bit later. Rohit hits a low blow and a DDT. We get a top rope double stomp by Rohit to Jake through the setup chairs. We get a sudden black hole slam by Jake to shift the momentum, and then another black hole slam to follow. Rohit throws a chair into Jake's face, but it just fires him up, and he hits a spear to Rohit through the table to win the match. I really like this match as well. This is crazy. Rohit showcased a lot here, and I don't think this loss hurts him at all. He's really fast. His moves look really crisp. He's a talent I see other promotions kind of being interested in if they're paying attention. I would be. Jake picks up a big win that I keep saying he needs, right? He needs to get some wins and sort of get some focus. I think he has potential too. He performed well in this match. A fun TV match that got some time, which is my biggest criticism of Impact matches, right? How do I feel anyway about 4-minute matches that are constantly happening? So this episode is not like that. This was a fun TV match, and this show is continuing to be good this week. We then get W.H. Morrissey. He's walking backstage looking...
W.H. Morrissey?
Isn't it?
W. Morrissey.
I thought it was W.H. Morrissey.
Mm-mm.
Are you sure?
Almost positive.
Look it up. I bet you I'm right. Is walking backstage looking for Scott D'Amore. He wants a match with Rich Swann tonight. D'Amore says that Swann already asked, and that match is coming up next. He says he loves the moxie on Morrissey, and that you can't teach that. Ooh, a little reference back to WWE days.
Yeah.
Nothing much to break down here. This was just 30-second segment to set up a match, so I don't have much opinion on it. Rosemary is then shown sitting in sort of the dark laughing. She talks about taking Purrazzo to her realm last week and earned a victory. At against all odds, they'll take the Knockouts title back to the darkness where it belongs. Havoc interrupts. Shocker.
Got it.
And says that even though they've been on the same side in fights lately, she still has her eyes on the Knockouts title. Rosemary really hoped that Havoc would join their family, and family need to share. If Havoc wants the shot, she has to take it from Rosemary. Havoc agrees and ends with her catchphrase that I didn't make a note of. thought this segment was okay, but Rosemary's acting was a bit over the top for me sometimes here. At the beginning it was. It sets up a Rosemary Havoc match that doesn't feel super fresh to me, but it could be good. And at least there's stakes involved. It seems to be for number one contender for the Knockouts title. So we'll see where it goes. Rich Swann versus Morrissey is next. Morrissey attacks Swann at ringside as he makes his entrance and throws Swann into the barricade. Swann with a flurry in the ring, but Morrissey cancels it quickly with a big boot. Security come out to stop Morrissey. Morrissey grabs one by the throat, and Willie Mack shows up, hits Morrissey in the back with a chair, but Morrissey kind of no-sells it. And Mack stands over Swann with a chair to protect him as security try to keep Morrissey away. Morrissey finally leaves and stares at Willie Mack. I thought it was fine. It's a way to sort of delay the Swann-Morrissey match, I assume, by getting Morrissey and Mack a match, sort of as the gatekeeper to Swann. I thought it was a bit odd that the match was called off because of a very brief pre-match attack. It was just run into the barricade in a boot, and we've seen many matches still happen after much worse pre-match beatdowns than this, but it was still an okay segment, and Morrissey is still being booked really strong, I think, so that's good for him. What's next? Rachel Ellering's backstage, and Tenille and Caleb interrupt her. Another interruption. Tenille likes Ellering's vibe and aura and feels that they are really vibing together. Even though there were 10 women in their match last week, Tenille says it only felt like it was she and Ellering. And Caleb, she adds. Caleb points out that both want the titles and hints of a tag team formation here. Jordynne Grace interrupts, asks Ellering if she's ready, and Ellering says, never more ready. And as Tenille backpedals and sucks up to them, suggesting they'll win the tag titles. So you missed an interruption there as you're on your phone. Tenille continues to amuse me in these segments, even though I have no idea why she is so focused on tag belts and finding a partner, but I'm finding her character pretty funny these days. And Jordynne Grace, I'm just waiting because I feel like this heel turn's coming, that they're really, really slow playing, which is fine. We then get an instructional video from Brian Myers called The Most Professional Wrestler Brian Myers Presents How to Be Professional, Chapter 1. So already it kind of made me chuckle. Chapter 1 is about presentation, and then we cut to Myers critiquing young Sam Beal's ring and entrance gear, which are like 80s sunglasses, a tiny scarf, and he doesn't
Doesn't he have like curly hair or something?
Yeah, permed hair. He doesn't like Beal's random kind of tattoos either. He says that Beal has a good build, but should show it off by wearing a Brian Myers tank top. So then we cut away, cut back, and Beal is wearing the shirt, and Myers thinks it's a big improvement, but he needs to see Beal's entrance. So Beal does his best to recreate his entrance right there, which is kind of funny. And Myers tells him to never do the part where he smells his fingers. He kind of asks what he's doing, and Beal says he's smelling his perm product. So Myers tells him he should never do that again. He wants Beal to watch and learn as he plays his own theme from a big boombox that he has and does his entrance. Beal asks Myers why he wears a mask for his entrance, and Myers gets annoyed and says that Beal needs a lot of work and then leaves. I mean, this segment might have been a bit longer than it needed to be, but I like the idea here. Beal needs something to do. Myers is a really good heel, I think, for this company, and I was amused by this segment. And there's an opportunity for many more of these, right? You can have all of these different chapters of Myers teaching this kid and trying to help him, quote unquote. I thought this was comedy by Impact, but not the stupid sort of gone too far comedy that they fall victim to a lot. So I kind of like this. I thought it was amusing. Gia then talks to Deonna about the Havoc Rosemary match next week. If Havoc wins, the match at Against All Odds will become a triple threat. Deonna says that it really is against all odds for her, and it's absurd, basically, that, she could now be in a triple threat, and I don't really blame her. Impact wants a new champion, but she's already defeated these two, and they have done nothing to earn this shot. I don't really disagree with her, frankly, here. Her empire will not fall yet, regardless of who she faces at Against All Odds. I thought this was a solid promo. She almost always does. She's just a total pro. I hope she retains the title because I'm not sure at this point who is worthy or who's being built to take it from her. There's nobody believable. If they build Jordynne Grace, sure. I don't know who else, honestly. And this division, I used to be like, man, this division's stacked, right? Like when we started this podcast,
right?
The Knockouts division I was super impressed. Not so much now. So speaking of the Knockouts, we get Rachel Ellering and Jordynne Grace versus Fire and Flava for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. And I'm assuming we're going to take another step towards a Jordynne Grace heel turn here, but let's see. Grace overpowers Steels early, including a spinebuster. At one point, Tasha is on Ellering's shoulders and escapes by pulling Ellering's headband down around her neck and choking her with it, which I thought was a clever idea. Then we're told that Series 1 Impact trading cards are announced, and I only make a note of that because it says, I thought this was interesting, every pack contains one autograph from an Impact star. So that's kind of cool. Ellering's
Maybe
isolated.
check those out.
Yeah, Ellering is isolated and dominated by frequent tags from the heels. We get a Dr. Bomb by Jordan Grace for a near fall. A Vader.
That's the gut wrench powerbomb.
Yes.
Sit out, right?
Yep. A Vader Bomb by Grace and a twisting slingshot leg drop by Ellering for 2. Neckbreaker top rope double stomp combo by Fire and Flava, which I think looks cool for a near fall. Muscle Buster powerbomb combo by the Baby Faces for a 2 count. Grace seems to send Ellering out of the ring at this one point, and the commentary team draw attention to some possible tension between the two, I guess, so maybe this is the further progression of the heel turn. Steels DDTs Ellering on the floor, and then the heels double team Grace in the ring. The finish comes as Hogan holds Grace as Steels hits her top rope splash for the win, as Ellering is still out on the floor. I actually thought this was a very good match that, again, got a lot more time than many Impact matches do. I'm really happy that Fire and Flava pick up a quality win to retain. And again, I think there is this slow burn of the Grace heel turn. Commentary even picking up on it this week is interesting as we wait sort of for the other shoe to drop with Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering. So we have Sami Callihan. He is not afraid of Moose regardless of how big he is. Sami says he is a different breed as Callis interrupts. Another interruption. Callis wants Sami to win, but he feels like Impact wants Moose to win and represent them. He subtly reminds Sami that he is frequently the bridesmaid, but that's okay, because guys like Callis who love wrestling always appreciate a journeyman like Sami, sort of subtly insulting him here, which I thought was good. Sami tells Callis to leave. Callis wishes him luck. Sami says he'll beat Moose tonight. I thought this was good. You've got slimy Don Callis trying to mess with Callahan's head, right, to motivate him to sort of take out Moose, because Moose is the number one threat right now. He's basically telling Sami that he's a good hand, right? Which is like the kiss of death in wrestling, meaning like you're never going to ascend to the main event, but you're good enough to stick around and wrestle. No one really expects him to beat Moose, just put up a good fight. And I thought Sami did a good job with his character here too. So a good segment. We then get Kojima and Eddie Edwards shaking hands backstage as Kojima will wrestle next. Brief package then introducing Macklin, who has his feet up on a desk and is drinking whiskey. At first, I did not know who it was. I even had in my notes, like, I don't know who this person is. It turns out it's the WWE's Steve Cutler. Does he not have a girlfriend or significant other there already, I think? I could be wrong. It was an interesting enough 10-second clip of just seeing him feet on desk drinking whiskey. So we'll see what they do with him. And I think Macklin is his actual name as well. My understanding. Fire and Flava go knock on Scott D'Amore's door. They brag about being the best and the hottest and wonder where the competition is in their division. Susan and Kimber interrupt, and we've got a knockouts tag match at Against All Odds. I know, that's kind of what I thought too. Fire and Flava were entertaining here, as they always are, but this is not an interesting match. I have no idea what qualifies Susan and Kimberly for a title match, other than they kind of are a tag team or are at least affiliated. Susan is super boring. I can't wait for her to lose this gimmick and go back to either one of her other ones.
Too young.
Or make up a new one. Kimberly's not far behind, right? She doesn't really... She's fine in the ring, but she's never booked strong, and she never really does anything. I didn't mind this segment, but I don't have interest in the match that resulted from it. We then get Diener versus Kojima. I looked it up. Kojima's 57, in phenomenal shape.
He's even older than Nagata.
He looks great. Diener's in control after he kicks Kojima after a rope break. Kojima does his infinite chops in the corner, hits a top rope elbow drop for a near fall. Swinging neckbreaker by Diener for 2. Brainbuster by Kojima for 2. Violent by Design get on the apron to distract Kojima. The ref is distracted, and we get a bunch of shenanigans about to take place. But Eddie Edwards shows up with his kendo stick for the save. We get a Koji cutter, and guess what Kojima's finishing move is? Brian Myers is going to be mad. A clothesline, and Kojima picks up the win. Really short match just to get Kojima a win and further his relationship with Eddie, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Diener continues to be one step above a jobber. I think that's too bad. I think he could do a little bit better. But this match was fine. It was really short just to establish Kojima as someone who's good and who we should recognize next time we see him, I guess. Mm-hmm. Moose then talks about facing Sami, and it being a good warm-up match for him, which is kind of funny, a shot at Sammy right there. He says he already beat Sammy and the others at Under Siege. Callis interrupts, surprising, and says that he's on Moose's side. He and Kenny are all about competition, and Moose is the best athlete and the best competition for Kenny. He advises Moose to finish Sammy quick and to do a little extra to make sure that Sammy doesn't come back. Moose says, I liked Moose here, he basically says, I stopped listening right after you greeted me, basically. But he knows what Callis is trying to do. He tells Callis to tell Kenny to keep the belt shiny for him, and he walks off. I like this segment as well. You've got the invisible hand Callis. Now he's trying to manipulate the other one of Kenny's opponents, right? Possibly. He's telling each guy that he likes that guy and wants him to beat. And he's just trying to talk them each into hurting each other as much as possible, which I think is cool. And I like this segment. We then have Eric Young speaking, Violent by Design are obviously with him. He says that they can handle the failure, which is good because that seems to be like 90% of what they do, but can't move forward from Eddie Edwards. He's holding Eddie responsible for Diener's loss to Kojima, and Crazy Steve interrupts, another interruption, and says that their design must have some flaws. He asks what new punishment they have for Diener, who keeps failing. Eric Young says that Steve is disrespecting him, and Steve laughs at him for choosing Diener over him, because the idea is Eric Young trained Crazy Steve and Cody Diener, and I think this is Crazy Steve saying, you chose him to be in your group, and he just keeps constantly losing while you ignored me completely, which I kind of like. Mm-hmm. Steve suggests Violent by Design versus Decay at all odds, and seems to be suggesting that Diener be one of the competitors. So is this like Freebird rules, it sounds like? Because Diener's not one of them that won the tag team titles, but it sounds like he might be defending them. So
Freebird rule, I guess.
Yeah, it just belongs to Violent by Design, and they can choose whoever they want, which would open the door for Young to compete once he's healthy, I guess, too, right?
I think the best would be him and Diener, probably.
Right. A match between two dark, mysterious groups that never seem to win. It's not that interesting, but this was a fine segment.
Black Taurus.
Yes, I love him. But he doesn't seem to get any like wins or anything, really. He's just there to look good and probably be gone soon.
Do things.
They run down next week's show, the confirmed matches for Against All Odds, as we head to the main event, which is Moose versus Sami Callihan. And I just think these two might have the best entrances in Impact. They're both very cool. Callihan kicks Moose off the apron and hits a suicide dive early to take control of this match. Moose eventually fires up, hits a powerbomb on the apron. The match stays outside for quite a while, with Moose dominating with his slow, high-impact style until Sami dodges a Moose cannonball into the barricade. Moose starts selling an injured right arm mid-match and can't execute a superplex on the first attempt, but he does eventually hit it a bit later. Lots of slobbering by Sami, who seems to have excess saliva a lot of the time, right?
He does,
a lot of spit going on with that guy. He cuts off a spear attempt with a boot. Moose hits the go to hell for 2, which
like
is
the move that Guevara does?
It's a second rope, like sit-out chokeslam, basically. It's what he calls the go to hell for a 2 count. Sami hits a pile driver while pinning Moose's injured arm behind his back for a near fall. He sets up for the package pile driver, but the Good Brothers show up. They interrupt, and they hit a magic killer to Callihan before attacking Moose as Callis and Omega walk out. They beat down each man some more before Omega and company walk back up the ramp, admiring the damage that they've done. I actually liked this main event quite a bit. It told the story of Sami having a chance because of Moose's injury. Otherwise, Moose would just dominate him probably. And sometimes the no finish and run-in would bother me, but this was part of a show-long story, right? Where Kenny needs Callihan and Moose to suffer as much damage as possible, as they are the top contenders for his title, and Omega is just the ultimate weaselly heel looking to make his title defense easier. So this kind of made sense to me, and the run-in didn't bother me.
If he gets in another triple threat, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, could be. It looks like that.
Because he did that. He had to do that in AEW.
It might be where they're going, because D'Amore then interrupts Omega and the others as they celebrate backstage. D'Amore points out that technically Sami defeated the number 1 contender since they attacked Sami first, right? That was the DQ. You missed another one earlier, by the way. And maybe he should be added to the match at Against All Odds. Callis says that according to their contract, both sides have to agree, and Tony Khan hates Sami Callihan and isn't going to include him in the match. D'Amore is proud of Callihan for actually reading their agreement, and said he anticipated Callis saying this, and he's already invited Tony Khan to Impact next week to help decide if they need to adjust the main event at Against All Odds.
Ooh,
Callis
summit thing.
As the show ends, Callis is visibly annoyed by this announcement, and yes, I guess that's leading to our summit next week. So overall, I thought this was for Impact standards a terrific episode, top to bottom. I think this might have been my favorite episode of Impact since we started the podcast. I do end up grading on a curve, of course, but in my opinion, this could hold up against some NXT and AEW
and we had 15
episodes.
interruptions.
That's amazing. Almost all the matches were given time, which is a huge factor in how much I enjoyed this show. I enjoyed the opening X Division match, the tables match, the knockouts match. Even the main event was good. The Kojima match was fine. It was just really short. Segment-wise, I liked the thread of Callis trying to manipulate the main eventers throughout the show. Meyer's segment with Beal amused me. Steele's and Hogan interacting with D'Amore and Tenille sucking up to Ellering were all pretty good as well. The brief Macklin vignette was interesting enough for me, and Perazzo's kind of mini promo was good as well. No Swingers Palace or any forced comedy segments at all, which is a huge plus. So I'm going to be generous. I'm giving Impact an A this week. Far above their average offering, in my opinion. Not that it's been bad lately even, but this was a really good show top to bottom. Entertained me pretty much from beginning to end. Nothing was close to bad. I mean, some things weren't amazing, but there was nothing that was bad. I don't think so. A great episode. So like the highest rated show this week for me, which is shocking, right? Somewhat. But anyways, that's what I thought about Impact.
Nice.
So now let's talk about your rewind match.
Right. And so we've got another Eddie Guerrero match as I've chosen for number 15.
Yeah, I'm glad because you didn't get to see Eddie Guerrero, and he is
World's Greatest
amazing.
Tag Team versus Los Guerreros.
Twig it. I used to love World's Greatest Tag Team. They are...
and it's for the tag titles.
Right. They were just phenomenal wrestlers. Neither of them super charismatic or very good on the mic, but in ring. And can I just say to start out a couple points. One, both of these teams have matching gear. Small detail, really like it. Makes you look like a tag team. Like that. And I like the dynamic here because you have a tag team of guys with professional wrestling in their blood, right? Born into a professional wrestling like mega family in the Guerreros versus a team of elite amateur wrestlers, like two All-American, like actual wrestlers who joined WWE later. All of these guys are awesome. It's just very different paths to professional wrestling, right? Which I think is
and this is
cool.
from the same episode of Smackdown with the Lesnar Angle Iron Man match.
Yeah, so this is when Smackdown was, I think, really good. I think I really enjoyed Smackdown around this era. Yeah,
2003.
Lots of just awesome wrestling on Smackdown. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts going into it. Go ahead, sorry.
So Shelton Benjamin and Eddie Guerrero start. Technical wrestling and Andy tags in Chavo. Fast tags and tag offense by Los Guerreros. Benjamin drives Eddie into the corner and tags in Haas. Hammer throw by Haas and Benjamin's back in. Guerrero fights both members of TWGG and hits a belly-to-belly on Benjamin. Chavo tags in and hits corner stomps on Benjamin and a monkey flip. Drop kick to Haas and a tilt-a-whirl head scissors to Benjamin by Chavo. Chavo and Eddie hit dives on Twiggett. Eddie hits a back elbow to Haas. Chavo tags in and hits a slingshot knee drop to the back. Basement dropkick by Chavo, but Benjamin breaks the pin. Shelton Benjamin does tag in, and Chavo fights back with strikes and sends Benjamin in the corner to tag in Eddie. Benjamin counters a back suplex from Eddie for 2, which is broken up by Chavo. A double clothesline takes both down, and Chavo and Haas both tag in. Ref gets distracted inadvertently by Eddie, and Benjamin hits a cheap shot super kick on Chavo, which looks pretty cool.
And it's interesting that they're the ones doing the cheating, right? When it's normally even Los Guerreros as baby faces still cheat, right? That's just their thing.
It's in their theme.
Yep.
Arm snap over the shoulder by Haas because they'd made a note that Chavo had an arm injury previously. More arm targeting by Haas. Cheap shot by Benjamin. Hammerlock Northern Lights suplex by Haas for 2. Benjamin tags in and a key lock hold by Benjamin, which is just an arm target hold. Haas tags in and targets Chavo's arm more. A running flying clothesline by Chavo. Benjamin prevents the tag, but Chavo got it, but the ref didn't see it.
Right.
Chavo's able to counter double team and get the tag again. A flurry by Eddie. Haas cuts off the 3 amigos on Benjamin from Eddie. German suplex by Haas. Benjamin accidentally hits Haas. An arm drag head scissors on both of the Twiggett guys.
I thought the kick by
Eddie.
Benjamin to Haas looked pretty stiff. Like, quote unquote accidental, kicked his own teammate.
Haas grabs a steel chair and hands it to Benjamin. Benjamin goes for a cheap shot while Haas distracts the ref, but Chavo kind of drop kicks the chair into Benjamin's leg.
Right.
Haas almost dies on a double team from
goodness.
Los Guerreros, and then a suplex followed by Frog Splash by Los Guerreros for the win, and they they win the titles.
I just made a note that Haas just broke his neck. What
it was
was
like
it?
A back body drop,
and he landed really badly. This match was pretty much non-stop, right? They didn't get a lot of time. It was 10 minutes. So no mistakes. Everything's crisp. Everything makes sense. The crowd is super into Eddie Guerrero and to a lesser degree, Chavo at this point in history. I think the world's greatest tag team worked really well as heels. A really fun 10-minute match between four masters of their craft, I think. I loved SmackDown around this time, partly because the tag team division existed and had talent like this and matches like this. They actually cared about tag team wrestling, put some thought and energy into it, and it was really fun. I think it was too short to be an absolute classic match, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. So I gave it a B+. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's amazing what can be accomplished in such a little amount of time when you throw a bunch of talented wrestlers together. For a 10-minute match, this is great. Nothing super crazy or anything, but this is great. Just four talented wrestlers doing what they do.
Yep.
If there was more time, this obviously would have been better, but this is the show with that 60-minute Iron Man match, so I can see why this is short.
That's true.
Yes, also a B+ for me.
Oh, nice. We matched on that one. No surprise. All right, well, that wraps up any other wrestling business, brings us into our final segment every week where Jack's going to update us with what's going on in the world of wrestling action figures and whatnot. And that segment is called Figuring It Out with Jack.
So we're starting with Showdown 2-packs, 6 lineup revealed. We got Usos, Street Profits, and Cena versus Michaels. And so these are cool and all, but I want battle packs back because
you do.
There are tag teams in this set, right? But say there's a new tag team, for example, I don't know, you want Legado del Fantasma in a battle pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so they have had a championship match, so okay, fine. Everrise or whatever, I guess, right? For example,
heck yes.
They have an title match, right? So if you're keeping this line, how would you get them in a battle pack? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you
it
wouldn't.
kind of, and I don't know, I just missed that. And they used to have accessories too. They finally brought those back. I don't know. They need normal battle packs back. I think this is a cool I feel like they could have this every now and then. Maybe they do normal battle packs and then they just release these sets less often.
Right. In addition to normal battle packs.
Right. Because I don't know. Anyways, so those are cool, I guess. Ultimate Edition 10 has been revealed. It'll include 2007 era John Cena and a 2013 version of The Rock. Who,
nice.
You know how he redesigned the WWE title?
Yes.
And, it's the first on the side plates?
Yep.
I think so. He'll have that, but it'll have his side plates on it, so that's a first time thing.
Cool.
Which I think is cool. Basic 123 lineup revealed. We got Dexter Lumis, which is Braun Strowman.
Gone.
Which is kind of
it's a collector's item.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley, which is good because the
That's cool.
last Bobby Lashley was Series 112, which is the long tights, which is current.
Right.
But I didn't get that, so I do want a current Lashley, so yep. I do want that. We got Otis, which it'll either be his solo attire or maybe Alpha Academy.
He still exists? He didn't get released?
No, he's in Alpha Academy with Gable, remember?
Oh, right.
And Jake Atlas. And the Chase variant is Jake Atlas. Great. 2 Jake Atlas.
Jake Atlas got figure, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're pushing him.
Yeah.
Coming up with DiBiase, you'll see. Maybe.
And we got Elite 87, which was revealed a little while ago. It's up for pre-order. We got Apollo Crews, which is cool. I do want an Elite Apollo Crews, because then I'd probably use them more.
He's cool.
Santos Escobar, his figure's pretty sick. You get the mask option.
Nice.
Candice LeRae, it's a heel Candice, so that one's pretty cool as well.
Nice.
Braun Strowman. Which is funny.
Poor
Otis
guy.
again. So 2 Braun Strowman and 2 Otis.
Amazing.
I don't know. I might get an Elite Otis. I probably wouldn't make him.
I assume you would take any figure you don't already have.
Right.
Why
and
not?
Asuka, who I would want an Asuka.
As a collector of things.
Chase variant is Apollo Crews, which is cool. I think there's a white one with beige designs on it. That one I like. I don't know if that's a Chase or the normal, but that's really nice.
Cool.
That's it.
That is it. Well, that brings us to the end of episode 46 of the FNS Wrestling Podcast. Thanks to anybody that's joined us and listened to any of this week.
For any amount of time.
Yeah, because we put out a bunch of stuff this week. We really appreciate it. I don't see any bonus stuff coming out this week. You never know, but I don't see anything on the horizon.
Yeah, unless we have a plan or if there's stuff, then probably not. But we'll see.
I'm sure my Ring of Honor will come out on Monday again if there's a few people listening to that. So thanks if you're one of those. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely be back here on Saturday for episode 47. We hope you all can find the time to join us. Yeah, and the
situation with Dynamite, we might have to do that might be a bonus episode because it's going to be...
Right.
Or, I don't know if that's next week or in 2 weeks, but whenever there's a Saturday Dynamite, that'll probably be its own thing.
Yeah, it'll be missing from the Saturday show, but then we'll probably get around to it the next day.
I think it's 2 weeks, actually, so never mind.
So yeah, keep your eye out for that. And just if you like or subscribe or follow or whatever, depending where you follow us, you'll definitely be made known of any new content that we put out. So we appreciate anything that you get a chance to check out and listen. Please tell somebody about us if you like us. We do not market ourselves well. We're just sort of counting on word of mouth and just people checking us out and hopefully liking us. So thanks to everybody for giving us a bit of their time this week. We'll see you back here next Saturday. And until then, take care.